Love isn't always a fair game, and when the mind is involved, the heart doesn't always win. Welcome back to the irresistible world of dating games in part 2 of Mind Games, by best-selling author T.K. Leigh, a smart, seductive novella that dives into the murky waters of love, lies, and longing. In this gripping continuation, what began as a flirtatious game of attraction has evolved into something much deeper and far more dangerous. As past wounds resurface and trust is put to the ultimate test, our characters are forced to confront the emotional baggage they thought they left behind. Can love survive when the truth is tangled in manipulation, miscommunication, and the fear of getting hurt again? With razor-sharp wit, steamy chemistry, and emotional depth. Mind Games. Part 2 explores what happens when romance and reality collide and whether true love can emerge from the chaos. Hit play and get ready to fall deeper into the mind and heart of a story that refuses to play by the rules. Chapter 9. So, what's next on the agenda for game night, I ask in a bright voice after we cleaned up all the Jenga blocks that clattered to the ground. Thanks to Lincoln getting cocky and not paying attention as he placed one, slightly skewed, on top of the tower. The afternoon sped by in a fog of burgers, bachelorette party stories, and a fun game of Jenga, something I haven't played since my introduction to nursing science class, when my professor had us work together in groups to prevent the tower from toppling over, equating it to the teamwork necessary in the nursing profession. Game night, Chloe scrunches her nose, her lip curled up. Yeah, game night. Oh no. She quickly shakes her head. Her reaction akin to one you might expect if accused of a horrific crime. This isn't game night. That's something bored. Married couples do to mask the fact that they have nothing in common with each other. The arrogant husband acts as if he's a know-it-all anytime his wife answers a question wrong in Trivial Pursuit. And during a rousing game of Taboo, she realizes exactly how little her husband listens to her. No thanks. Not interested. I pass her a wry smile. Not all games are boring. Able to sense the wheels spinning, she narrows her eyes on me. What did you have in mind? You'll see. I jump up and walk into the house without a single look back. Once inside, I head straight for the game room. I'm not sure how everyone will react to my idea, but we're all adults. If I hadn't consumed the number of beers I have, I probably wouldn't suggest this. But I need something to cut through the constant push and pull between Asher and me. An icebreaker of sorts. In my experience, this game has always been great at doing just that. I told you, Chloe. I say once I return to the patio, placing a box on the wicker coffee table. Game night doesn't always have to be boring. What do you guys think? Want to take things up a notch? I float my eyes around our little party sitting on a pair of couches placed on either side of the coffee table, girls on one side and guys on the other. When my gaze stops on Asher, he swallows hard, pulling his bottom lip between his teeth. Or are you two chicken? Never have I ever. Chloe turns her nose up as she reads the words printed on the box. Why not? I thought you were an open book, that you had no shame. I don't. Then what's stopping you? I steal a glimpse at Lincoln before looking back at her. As day turned into night, their flirting has become a bit more obvious. The angst is killing me. I can only imagine how it's affecting Chloe. Fine. She pushes out a sigh, feigning annoyance, but I can tell she likes the idea. But if we're going to play this, I'll need a fresh beer. She starts to stand, but Lincoln stops her with a gentle hand on her arm. I got it. His gaze lingers on her a beat longer than normal before shifting his attention to the rest of us. I'll grab another round for everyone. I have a feeling we all may need it. I watch as he disappears into the house. I probably should have told him I didn't want another beer, considering I'm already tipsy. But it's my last night in Vegas. Might as well have some fun while I still can. I'm going to take advantage of this break and go change. Chloe stands, her eyes averted as she walks away. Are you sure you're not planning to take advantage of something else? I call after her, even though putting on something warmer sounds appealing now that the temperature has dipped significantly from earlier. Asher warned me it would happen. The second the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, it was like someone turned off a heating lamp, an instant chill setting in. She waves me off, not even acknowledging me as she steps inside, closing the French doors behind her. I slowly shift my eyes back to Asher's, not sure what I'll see, whether it will be warmth and endearment or purposeful distance. When I peer into them, I see something else, something I can't quite explain. He gazes upon me with affection, but it's so much more pronounced, more charged, more intense. Standing from his position across the coffee table from me, he heads toward me, each step causing my pulse to kick up a little. He assumes the open spot beside me, draping his arm along the back of the couch. He leans toward me, his scent wafting into my nostrils, a natural aphrodisiac that has me wanting to burrow my nose into the crook of his neck. "What do you know about those two?" he asks in a low voice. "Not much." I fidget with my hands, the huskiness in his tone and lust in his eyes unnerving me. I hate not being able to read this man, one whom I once thought I knew as well as my own boyfriend at the time. Maybe even better. Chloe mentioned she kept running into some guy all weekend. At the club, then the restaurant bar, then in the elevator this morning. Up until you introduced him to her, she didn't even know his name. He lifts a single brow. She didn't. No, she didn't. Even though when I walked into the lobby to meet her, she was a breath away from kissing him. He pulls back, tilting his head. They've kissed, almost, but some drunk college kids bumped into her before they could seal the deal, so to speak. She was willing to kiss him without knowing his name. Does a name really matter if you have a connection? I push my hair behind my ear. I should stop. Knowing my words may very well spark Asher's guilt and pull him back. My guilt is pulling me back, too. But if I don't say it now, I'll always wonder what if. I've suffered through years of what if. No more. Does anything really matter if you feel a connection? Especially when finding someone you click with seems to be such a rarity these days. Maybe that's why so many relationships fail. They let all the outside noise cloud what they know can be an amazing thing. They let all the reasons they shouldn't be together overpower the one reason they should. And what would that be? That they feel something. He peers deep into my eyes. I physically feel the indecision, the contradicting desires tugging him in two different directions. One keeping him firmly in place, reminding him who I am. The other pushing him forward, imploring him to take a leap of faith. No matter what he chooses, he risks losing something. It's just a matter of what's more important. When he tears his gaze from mine, his head hanging as he shakes it, I know the answer. In a sense, I've always known. I'm about to excuse myself to find my own beer to drown myself in when his soft voice stops me. "You're right." I raise my eyes to his, my pulse gradually increasing as he reaches for my face. The seconds stretch to an eternity in anticipation of the touch of his hand against my skin. When I feel the subtle brush of his fingers, I sigh. It's such an innocent contact, but I love the roughness of his flesh on mine. The calluses on his fingertips from hours of playing guitar make me feel alive, more alive than I've ever been. I guess nothing else should matter. He pushes a tendril of hair behind my ear. I lick my lips, eyes focused on his deep orbs. His gaze shifts to my mouth, pupils darkening. I notice the tightening of his muscles, his chest heaving a little more, jaw clenching and unclenching. But that's not the case. "Is it?" I squeak out as he closes the distance between us. 1 second. I tell myself it doesn't matter, that nothing else matters. He runs the pad of his thumb over my bottom lip. His caress is so soft, barely noticeable, but the way every inch of me ignites. You'd think he were touching the most intimate parts of my body, my mind, my soul. And the next, I'm reminded of what's at stake. I expect him to pull away, but he doesn't. So I keep going. "And what is at stake?" "Everything," he admits, his voice becoming harsher, almost like a growl. "But you know what they say, don't you?" I shake my head. I don't. The worse the odds, the bigger the reward. "And what do you hope to be your reward?" Hypnotized, I inch closer, his breath dancing on my lips. Like Asher. I may regret this tomorrow. Hell, I may regret it in just a few minutes. But I need to stop worrying about the future. I need to just live in the moment. After all, I'm in Vegas, a city where everyone lives in the moment. Everything I never knew I always wanted. He pauses, then adds, "Actually, that's a lie." He flashes his breathtaking smile. I push down the thought that it's so similar to Jesse's, apart from the dimples. Perfect white teeth framed with full, luscious lips. His grip on my face tightening. He digs his fingers into my scalp, the raw need in the way he holds me making my hunger for him grow. Deep down, a part of me always wanted this, but I just needed a reminder of what I'd lose if I let the chance slip away again. And what was that reminder? Feeling you in my arms last night. Isabella. He runs a lithe finger down the curve of my face. I close my eyes, savoring the delicious tremor his touch causes. Nothing ever felt so perfect. He pinches my chin, bringing my lips closer to his. So close, so warm, so wanted. You are perfect. I hold my breath, bracing for him to consume every part of me. 1 minute, he's on the cusp of kissing me. The next, there's a vacancy where he once was. His touch gone. Shit, he curses. I fling my eyes open, disoriented. Everything seems darker than it was mere seconds ago. Asher jumps up from the couch, stalking away from me, and my heart sinks. I'm ready to berate him for all these fucked up games he's been playing. Before I can, his distressed voice interrupts me. We must have blown a fuse. My mouth snaps shut as I scan the backyard. Now I know why everything seems darker. It wasn't Asher's confusing mood that cast a shadow over us. It's because the power's off. I stand to join him as he stares down at the pool, the lights illuminating the depths gone. As are all the lights on the patio, the entire backyard dark. Looking to the house, we realize it's also devoid of any light. How? I don't know. He shakes his head. I'll go check. He squeezes my arm, then places a soft kiss on my temple. It's a crappy consolation prize, considering I was hoping for more, but it'll have to do, for now. I'll come with you to make sure Chloe's okay. I catch up to his long strides with ease. Oh, I'm sure she's more than okay. He waggles his brows as he holds the door for me, allowing me to step into the darkened house first, the entire place eerily still. Asher rests a protective hand on my lower back, ushering me toward the kitchen island. It's probably a good thing, considering the layout of the house is as foreign as the Palace of Versailles. Lincoln seems to have disappeared, too. He rummages through a drawer by the sink, finding a flashlight. Think he's helping Chloe slip into something more comfortable. He flicks on the flashlight, which illuminates the devious grin on his face. It is Vegas, after all. I spin from him. Heading in the direction of the staircase I can barely make out in the stream of light. As I approach the bottom step, I glance over my shoulder. If you can't sin a little here, where can you? He catches up to me as I ascend the staircase with timid steps. Is that what you want? His husky voice causes the hairs on my nape to stand on end, a rush of desire pooling in my core. To sin a little. He narrows his gaze on mine as we crest the top of the stairs. Emboldened, I come to a stop, angling into him. I don't move for several long seconds, sensing his composure crack, that vein in his neck throbbing with suppressed want. Play your cards right and maybe you'll find out. I allow my words to float around him for a beat before I continue down the hallway, Asher following. I can almost taste the lust in the air between us. Tonight is about to get a lot more interesting, especially if the lights don't come back on. Approaching Chloe's room, I notice the door is ajar. I round the corner, figuring she would have closed it if she were getting it on with Lincoln. There you are, I say, heading toward where she stands by the window, still in her bathing suit. Apparently, she has been too preoccupied to change. When Lincoln walks out of the ensuite bathroom, I stop in my tracks. Both of you. Did we blow a fuse? Chloe asks, averting her eyes, fidgeting with her hair. Which is the Chloe tell that she's been doing something, or someone, she'd rather I didn't find out about. I don't know. I cross my arms over my chest. Did you? I don't think it was the fuse, Lincoln interrupts, joining Chloe by the window. Everyone looks in his direction, following his line of sight. After watching the sunrise with Asher last night, I'm more than aware of what the view out that window should be. Instead of seeing the bright lights of the Vegas Strip, there's nothing. The only light's that of cars meandering along the streets. Everything else is barren, deserted, empty. Like I said, Lincoln continues as we all congregate around him, staring at a scene that's reminiscent of a post-apocalyptic horror film, minus the zombies feeding on human brains. I don't think it was a fuse. Chapter 10. Okay, so what are the rules here? Chloe asks after we've all settled back outside. With no power, it was the most logical place to congregate, considering we have the fire pit to offer us heat and light. It's another reminder of my few summers at Graham's Lake House. While there was electricity, that's where the amenities ended. No cable, no internet, no cell service. Our only form of communication with the outside world was a landline Graham's put in for emergencies. I'd often hated returning to civilization, wanting to go back to how simple things were at the lake. Jessie seemed to careen down the narrow roads at breakneck speed to get back to the point where our cell service would kick in. I've never played this board game version of this. Her expression instantly brightens. There's one. Never have I ever played the board game version of Never Have I Ever. Do I get a point or something? Or maybe I just win game night outright and we can stop this torture. I roll my eyes. You're having fun and you know it. She bites her lower lip, looking from me to Lincoln. Maybe. That's what I thought. I catch Asher's eyes as he sits beside me. There's a hint of amusement and curiosity in them while he observes me in silence. An artist studying his subject, unearthing every crevice, every valley, every subtle imperfection in order to paint her with painstaking detail. I wonder if that's what he's doing. If he's writing a song in his head, he has that look about him. Excitement, concentration, inspiration. I like the idea of being Asher's inspiration, his muse, the Marianne faithful to his Mick Jagger, a much younger and more attractive Mick Jagger. So, the rules. Chloe's voice cuts through. I snap my attention back to her, ignoring the smirk drawn on her face. It's pretty straightforward. You roll this die. I pick it up, showing it to everyone. On each side is a symbol that corresponds to a category on the cards. I grab one from the stack to demonstrate. Whatever you roll is what you have to say. So if I roll this male and female symbol, which is the sex and dating category, I have to say, never have I ever ditched a date after the first 10 minutes. If I haven't, I move my game piece forward. If I have, I take a drink. The first person to cross the finish line wins. Have you played this before? She inquires. I didn't even know they'd made a board game out of it until I saw it in the game room. Then how did you know how to play? I grab the rule sheet out of the box and wave it in front of her. I read the directions. Not exactly rocket science. I pass her a sardonic smile, then return my attention to our assembled group. Okay, who's first? Since this was your lame idea, you should go first, Chloe suggests with playful arrogance. Passing her a smug grin, I say, never have I ever ditched my date after the first 10 minutes. I grab my beer and take a sip, indicating I have, in fact, done just that. You need to roll and pick a new card, Chloe insists. After you tell me all about the poor schmuck you ditched, Asher chimes in. Why? So you can tell me I should have given him a bit longer. No. His gaze remains locked on me as he slowly shakes his head, so I know what not to do. He clears his throat as he nervously glances around our little circle. You know, research. For a song, maybe. Really, why not? His lips quirk up into a mischievous grin. I don't think I'll ever tire of the sparkle in his dark eyes as they look upon me with wanton affection. Stop cheating and roll, Chloe admonishes. Fine. I grab the die and toss it onto the table. It lands on a symbol of the earth, which means the subject could be anything. Taking a card off the top of the pile, I read the corresponding phrase, never have I ever gone streaking. Rolling my eyes, I grab a red game piece and move it forward a square. Well, that's an easy one because it's never happened. Who's next? I'll go, Asher pipes up, reaching for the die. Chloe whistles when it lands on the symbol for sex and dating. I have a feeling this is going to get interesting fast. You and me both, I mutter. Asher chuckles when he reads the phrase off the card. Never have I ever kissed a celebrity. Yeah, definitely haven't done that. He takes his green game piece and pushes it forward a spot. You mean you haven't gotten in on some of the orgies Fallen Grace is rumored to host Chloe jokes? He looks up at her, brows scrunched. Is that really a rumor? Fallen Grace fans aren't our target audience, but I keep a finger on all celebrity gossip. Rumor is 2 of the guys are gay and in a relationship with each other. Do I want to ask which 2? He leans back, brushing his thumb against his bottom lip, which makes me salivate, remembering how he'd caressed my lip like that. Chloe squints, trying to pull some names out of her memory. I have no idea how she keeps all these celebrities straight, how she remembers who's dating whom, who's in whatever band, who's starring in whatever movie. Then again, she says the same thing about my line of work, amazed at how much I do as a nurse. I think Mason and Ellis. Asher chokes on his beer, coughing a few times. Mason and Ellis, he grinds out, clearing his throat. Did you seriously say Mason and Ellis are rumored to be gay and into each other? Again, this isn't my area of expertise, so Asher chuckles. They are not gay. His laughter grows, his face reddening, tears dotting the corners of his eyes. I can't remember the last time I've heard him laugh like this. Actually, none of the guys are, but Mason and Ellis. They're so far from being gay, they're not even in the same hemisphere. He draws in a deep breath to get his laughter under control. Not that being gay is a bad thing. In my opinion, love is love, no matter who it's between. Well, within reason. Those child brides being forced to marry some 60-year-old dude is disconcerting, but that's beside the point. Trust me, with the number of women Mason and Ellis bring back here, you'd think they were considering starting their own brothel. So no wedding bells between them in the future, Chloe presses. Certainly not. Now, who's next? He looks around the circle. I think Chloe should go, I offer. This ought to be good, Lincoln interjects, having remained silent during the rest of our exchange. His aloof attitude reminds me of Asher. They both have a mysteriousness about them, an analytical way they observe the world around them, carefully selecting their words before saying anything. It's a stark contrast to most men I've had the unfortunate displeasure of dating, men who felt the need to impress me with so much bravado, constantly talking themselves up, not once asking me a single question. I didn't think it bothered me. I don't like talking about myself, especially considering the normal questions most people ask on a date. What do you like to do? What's your family like? How many brothers and sisters? The instant I tell someone I'm adopted, things change. There's a look of sympathy on their faces. I hate that. The next few hours pass in a mixture of laughter, increasing sexual tension, and consumption of more beers than we should. But what choice do we have? The power is out, so those beers will only go bad. We're simply doing our civic duty of saving the beers from meeting an unfortunate demise. At first, I was unsure how everyone would react to this game. To my surprise, it's gone over well. So much so that even when Lincoln is the first to cross the finish line, we continue, throwing the die and going around the circle, drinking if we've done whatever is on the card. We've even reverted to some of the original rules from when we played in college, requiring others to drink if they've done whatever was said, even if it's not their turn. Once our laughter dies down after Lincoln told everyone how his ex cock-blocked him by using her cat to curse him, I look at the coffee table, frowning. We're out of cards. I hate the idea of our game ending. While there's still some tension between Asher and me, the constant push and pull has evaporated. Like he's decided to just let go, allow the night to take us where it's meant to. We've returned to the way things have always been. Easy conversation, laughing at ridiculous stories, not wanting the night to end. Of course, the things we've talked about have been much more personal, but that's the nature of the game, and something I was hoping for anyway. Maybe it's time we go off script, Chloe suggests. I whip my eyes toward her, a single brow cocked. We stopped with the board game part of this a while back. She gestures at the discarded board. Maybe it's time to make things more interesting and ask different kinds of questions. What kinds of questions did you have in mind, I ask? I don't know. Something deeper. A little more personal. Therapist, personal, or sexy personal? Therapist, personal. She holds her head high, then shifts her eyes to Lincoln before adding, and sexy personal. In a heartbeat, a charge is sparked. It's no longer an easygoing, albeit slightly risque game among friends, both old and new. We don't have to share our thoughts with one another to know we're all thinking the same thing. This has the possibility to change everything. I'm okay with that, Asher states. We're all adults. Not much makes me uncomfortable. His demeanor is calm, maybe even a little intrigued. He's not pulling away like I thought he would. We are all adults, aren't we, I muse? What's going through that brain of yours, Chloe asks. Able to sense the wheels spinning in my head, I look into the distance where the skyline of Las Vegas should be illuminated. But it's not. The entire world shrouding us in relative darkness, as if we're in a bubble where the events of tonight won't matter when the lights come back on, where we can give in to our deepest desires with no consequences. I grab a flashlight off the table and proceed into the house without saying a single word. Chloe wants to take our game to the next level. Well, we still need a pair of dice. Making my way to my room, I open the bachelorette goodie bag Bernadette put together, which contained mostly inappropriate items, including a vibrator. Apparently, marrying the guy who knocked you up in college doesn't always equal sexual satisfaction, as was evident by her constant flirting with anything with a pulse. I toss butt plugs, eye masks, and body paint into my suitcase, finally finding what I'm looking for. Wrapping my fingers around them, I hurry down the stairs and return to the patio. 3 sets of expectant eyes meeting mine. What's going on, Chloe asks. Like Asher said, I hold my head high, despite the small ball of doubt forming in my stomach at the possibility no one will want to go along with this. But if we can't throw caution to the wind, can't take a risk during a blackout in Sin City, when can we? We're all adults, correct? Yes, everyone answers, their voices laced with curiosity. I'm declaring a circle of trust, a bubble, so to speak. I wave my arms in a circle, drawing an invisible dome around us. I submit for your consideration a new take on Never Have I Ever. I'm not sure I want to know what this new take is. Asher's voice is playful as he crosses his arms in front of his broad chest. You probably don't, considering it's how I met your brother. The second I see his face blanch, I regret saying that. We hadn't brought up Jesse all evening. It's been as if there never was a Jesse. Regardless, I continue, recovering quickly. But circle of trust. I waver on my legs, thanks to all the beers I consumed throughout the afternoon and evening. When I'm met with more blank stares, I explain the rules. We'll go around in a circle, saying something we've never done. If someone says they've never done something and you have, you drink. The changed rules apply to the person speaking. For example, if I say, never have I ever shot Abraham Lincoln, obviously no one here will drink. In that case, we go to the penalty round. I extend my hand, revealing a pair of dice. But they're not your traditional dice. Considering our goodie bags were filled with nothing but sex toys, these dice are sexy. 2. 1 die containing an action, the other a body part. Chloe looks at the dice in my hands. How do we know whose thigh we have to bite? I swipe my nearly empty beer off the table, finishing it. That's what this is for. Whoever the bottle lands on is the lucky, or perhaps unlucky, winner. I am not biting Asher's thigh, Lincoln bellows, his voice deep. And I am not. Asher grabs the dice and rolls them, sucking his finger. With an over-exaggerated sigh, I fall back onto the couch beside Asher. Men. This game is much more fun with only girls. They don't care about this shit. We have no problem licking each other's tongues. Asher and Lincoln simultaneously dart their wide eyes to mine, their bodies growing rigid at the mention of 2 women kissing, just as I suspected would happen. Boys will always be boys. But fine, I continue, doing my best not to pay attention to Asher as he adjusts his shorts. How about this? Everyone gets 1 free pass. Of course, just say something you know. At least 1 other person sitting here has already done, and you won't have to worry about spinning the bottle. Unless you want to. I retrieve the dice and roll them. Blow on someone's neck. Lifting my bottle. I glance around our circle expectantly. Are you all in? Blackout Club, Chloe mutters. Would I tilt my head? The first rule of Blackout Club. You don't talk about Blackout Club. The guys finish in unison, and the light bulb goes off over my head. Every guy knows a Fight Club reference when they hear one. They'd probably get their man card revoked if they didn't. Exactly. Chloe floats her eyes back to mine, raising her own beer. Like you said, this is a bubble. We're all consenting adults. Single consenting adults. I'm in. Me too. When Asher lifts his bottle, I exhale a tiny breath. I wouldn't have put money on him agreeing to this. I just worry when the seesaw he's riding hits the ground. It will be with so much force and velocity everything will come crumbling down. We shift our attention to Lincoln. He raises his beer and we all clink bottles. Sealing the deal. Let the games begin. Chapter 11. What are you doing? Contemplating the meaning of life. Lincoln quips as Asher stares into the distance, brows scrunched in deep concentration. The evening took a curious turn once we started playing our own version of Never Have I Ever. While there's no rule we say something personal or risque, it didn't matter. It was assumed we'd go in that direction. Add in all the alcohol we've consumed, and it's become increasingly difficult to think of things we're certain someone else has done. My only saving grace has been the fact that Chloe and I are childhood friends. We have an advantage over everyone else. Correction, I have an advantage over everyone else, considering I also know Asher pretty well. I'm thinking, he answers. Everything I come up with has been said. At the rate you're going, my buzz will be gone by the time you finally say something, I joke, taking another sip of my beer. Hell, I may even have gray hair by then. I thought you already did, Chloe jabs. Pretty sure I saw one the other day when I was helping you curl your hair. You are less than a year away from turning 30. Oh, hush. It was merely sun-kissed. I wink. That's the story you're sticking with. Damn straight it is. Our laughter echoes in the stillness of the night as we turn our attention back to Asher, who's tapping a finger against his bottom lip. Okay, that's it. I grab the dice and shove them at him. New rule. If you fail to say anything in the time allotted, say, a minute, it's an automatic roll of the dice and spin of the bottle. So let him roll. Ash, that's not fair. He glances toward Lincoln. Isn't it unconstitutional or illegal for laws to be applied retroactively? Generally speaking, yes. See? He smirks, crossing his arms in front of his chest, an air of superiority about him. So that rule doesn't apply to me. Although, due to the grievous nature of your offense, I'd be inclined to agree with Izzy in this instance. Lincoln continues. I smile at him. Thank you. I knew there was something I liked about you. You bet? Traitor, Asher quips. Can you blame me? Lincoln shoots back. You're messing with the flow of the game. And like Izzy pointed out, he lifts his beer. I'm also losing my buzz. There should be some sort of punishment for that. I face Asher, grinning. You definitely deserve to be punished. He twists toward me, his hungry eyes skating over my chest before meeting my gaze. Is that right? My voice is husky as I lean closer, my breath dancing against his mouth. Oh, that's right. His jaw clenches so hard I'm confident it'll lock in place. I edge closer still, his body growing more and more rigid with each painful second that passes. When I'm a whisper away from his lips, I pause. All it would take would be a flick of the tongue and I'd have my first taste. But as much as I want that, I want this more. The knowledge that I drive this man to the brink of all reason. Abruptly pulling back, I extend my hand toward him, grinning. Better roll the dice. His eyes are a pool of desire and lust as they bore holes into the fiber of my being. He's never looked at me with such unabashed desperation, such primal craving. It's the way every woman wants a man to look at her, like he can't go another minute without crushing my body to his, our souls intertwining, never to separate again. Very well, not looking anywhere else. He slowly reaches toward my outstretched hand. His fingers tease the flesh of my palm, tracing a light circle against it before scooping up the dice. I exhale the breath I was holding, my teeth chattering as I sink back into the couch, needing it to support me. Then he abruptly erases the distance between us. My heart catches in my throat, swallowing my gasp. But if this bottle lands on you, I'd be hard-pressed to call that a punishment. He's shameless as he drinks me in, starting with my dark eyes, along my lips, down my neck, settling for several long beats on my chest, more like a reward. I grow lightheaded as he nears, breath by excruciating breath. He brings his finger up to my mouth, and I plump out my bottom lip. His touch skims my jawline and toward my ear, pushing my hair over one shoulder. When he dips toward me, his heat skates along my neck and I fist the cushion below me, needing something, anything, to keep me grounded when I'm certain I'm about to blast off into oblivion. I don't even care that Chloe and Lincoln are witnessing this very public, very erotic exchange. We're in a bubble. There are no rules, no tomorrow, just right now. And right now, I want more of Asher's words. Welcome reward, he finishes, pausing before retreating. I shoot my wide eyes to his, my chest heaving in labored pants like I'd just run a marathon in under 2 hours, setting a world record. Two can play this game. Izzy, acting as unaffected as always. He refocuses his attention on the game, shifting empty beer bottles off the coffee table to make room for the dice. I attempt to fight the blush warming my cheeks, but I fear, even in the relative darkness, it's obvious. Chloe catches my eye, grinning slyly. I return her raised brow with one of my own, the two of us holding an entire conversation without saying a single word. When Asher rolls, I turn my attention to him, unusually invested in the outcome. A part of me wants the dice to land on kiss and lips, then the bottle to stop on me so he can finish what he started. But I have a feeling even a kiss won't be enough to extinguish the fire burning inside me. Seeing him last night sparked the embers that had been crackling for years. Not even the most skilled of firefighters could extinguish this flame. The dice come to a stop, and we all lean forward to peer in the darkness. Cheers and whistles erupting when we see bite and ear displayed prominently. I bet Asher really knows how to bite an ear. Chloe playfully nudges Lincoln, maintaining his air of mystery. His expression remains even as he curves toward her. He brushes her hair behind her ear and whispers something. What I wouldn't give to be a fly circling them. But the raw electricity coming off their bodies would zap it in a heartbeat. I can't quite figure out what it is about him that has Chloe turning into putty when she spent the past decade remaining detached from every man who showed even a modicum of interest. All I know about him is he's a lawyer, and surprisingly also lives in Manhattan. Oh, and that a cat put a cock-blocking curse on him. But the fact that she knows so little about him doesn't seem to matter to her. Maybe all that stuff is inconsequential. Maybe the past doesn't matter. Maybe all that does is the connection, the chemistry, the electricity. Like I told Asher earlier. Well, let's see who the winner is. Asher swipes the bottle off the table and spins. It slides and skitters before slowing, our eyes following its journey until it finally comes to a stop. On me? I stare at the bottle, trying to silence my libido, who's shaking her pom-poms and doing a victory lap around the field. Well then, I guess it's time I serve my sentence. Heat blooms on my cheeks as I slowly face him. I guess it is. I pick at the label on my beer bottle, failing miserably at keeping my cool now that I'm seconds away from feeling Asher's mouth on my skin and something much more intimate than a chaste kiss on my forehead. I'll take that. The throaty timbre of his voice causes my stomach to clench, my thighs involuntarily squeezing together. A puppet to whatever he commands. I allow him to take the bottle from me and place it on the table. Now, where were we when he curves toward me? Every muscle tightens, my body turning to stone. I can't remember how to breathe. The promise of this man nibbling on my ear, sending lust shooting through my veins. I try to tell myself it's due to the lack of intimacy in my life lately, or the beers I've consumed, or because we're stuck in a blackout in a city notorious for encouraging people to sin. But deep down, those things are completely inconsequential. I'd be this desperate for Asher regardless of the circumstances. I've been this desperate for Asher since the first time I heard his raspy voice come over the speakers at a club in Boston. Oh yes, I believe I was about to serve my sentence. His breath tickles my skin, every excruciatingly long second torturing me even more. I'm so on edge, so delirious, so hungry. But can it really be considered a punishment when I'm getting so much pleasure out of this? Before I can utter a response, his teeth lightly clamp onto my earlobe. Sparks shoot through me and I arch my back. I do everything to fight back a moan, losing the battle the second he swipes his tongue along my flesh. If this is how I react to a slight nibble of my ear, I fear what his kiss would do to me. Then again, I have a feeling I already know that answer. His kiss will ruin me in all the ways I want to be ruined, and in all the ways I'm scared of too. Chapter 12. Maybe instituting a time limit wasn't as great an idea as I originally thought, with our heads becoming foggy, apart from Chloe, who's only had a couple of beers over the course of the afternoon and evening. It's been increasingly difficult to come up with something no one said in the time allotted, which has resulted in more throwing of the dice and spinning of the bottle. Never have I ever gotten so drunk I had to be carried out of a bar, Asher announces, shooting me a sly glance. It was only a matter of time before he used this little nugget. He was probably waiting until he had a little more to drink, considering the story behind it. With a smirk, I bring the beer to my lips, indicating I have, in fact, been carried out of a bar. Okay. Chloe's gaze flickers between Asher and me, able to sense he played a role in the incident. There's obviously a story here. I need to hear it. Fine. I shrug, acting as if the night isn't permanently etched in my mind. And my heart? I'd never told Chloe the exact details of the night my relationship with Jesse ended. It was just easier to let everyone draw their own conclusions based on the few tidbits I provided, pretending to be too distraught to discuss it at length. By the time the dust settled, our breakup was old news. My shoulders squared. I face her, steeling myself to get through this without giving too much away. It was Christmas break my junior year of college. I was spending it in Connecticut with my family. Jesse was in Massachusetts. I had planned to visit him, but decided to surprise him and go early. Jesse, your brother Lincoln asks, looking at Asher. Yes. They were, well, stammering. He rubs his hands over his shorts. They were engaged, I blurt out, not caring if he knows. It was years ago. Jesse doesn't matter, or he shouldn't, but it's impossible to write him off, especially when my past and present have collided the past 24 hours. Until that night. I swallow hard before my expression brightens. Continuing the story. Their parents are snowbirds who flee the cold north for the south every winter. The guys usually went down to Florida for Christmas. Well, Jesse was getting back into town that day. Asher was already back, since he was a music teacher and school had resumed. Anyway, I told Asher my plan to surprise Jesse when he got home that day. I steal a glimpse at Asher, who stares at me furtively, brows bunched together. Not wanting to raise anyone's suspicions, I embellish the story a little. I had this entire scenario in my head. At first, it all did go according to plan. Asher left me a key to Jesse's place so I could freshen up after the long drive. I even made him the lasagna he loved, thinking he'd be hungry after traveling all day. When I heard the car pull into the driveway, I went into the dining room, taking a page from Julia Roberts' character in Pretty Woman. You know, when she surprised Edward wearing a tie. And that's it. Sexy. Right. My expression falls. Until Jesse walked into the house and I could hear moans and giggles. Oh, Chloe exhales. He tried to apologize, promise it was just a one-time thing. But in my heart, I knew that wasn't the case, that it had probably been going on a lot longer, especially considering she was the one he ran to the second he landed in Boston. Not me. So I stormed out of there. After getting dressed, of course, I was a mess and not thinking clearly. I was so convinced he was the perfect man for me. I lie, not wanting Chloe to poke holes in my story. It's not a complete fabrication. At one point, I did think he was the perfect man for me, just not at that time. As I tried to figure out what to do, I passed a bar, which just so happened to be where my band was performing that night. Asher interjects, flashing me a smile. Although it doesn't reach his eyes, I can feel his unspoken question about why I'm leaving out one rather important detail about our breakup. Maybe it's easier to put the blame on Jesse than myself. Or maybe I've told this version of the story so many times I can't be sure what the truth is. Around the time we finished our first set, I looked up to see her sitting at the bar, some punk putting his hands all over her, but she was too drunk to realize what was going on. Not one of my finer moments. I knew some kind of shit had to go down for her to be there when she was supposed to be with Jesse, so I hauled her out of there before something untoward happened. Canceled the rest of our gig that night, much to the displeasure of the bar's owner, and took her to my place to sober up. He swallows hard, and I can tell he's thinking of what happened next. How he comforted me, told me everything happens for a reason. How I took that advice to heart, thinking maybe there was a reason I'd ended up in that bar. Then how I almost kissed him. But he stopped me, telling me I was drunk and upset, that he refused to take advantage of me. The next morning, as he helped me nurse one of the worst hangovers of all time, I told him what happened. I explain, to which he said, I trail off, blinking as the words come rushing back. Words I'd forgotten in the haze of everything. You deserve to be with someone who looks at you every day as if they won the lottery. His eyes lock with mine, a dozen emotions swirling in his mahogany depths. Sympathy, admiration, devotion, all things I shouldn't see from him, but I do. They were there when he uttered those words to me the first time, too, but I'd refused to acknowledge them, his rejection from the previous night still stinging. Or maybe I wasn't supposed to see them yet. Maybe it wasn't our time yet. Is it our time now? I quickly look away, snapping out of whatever trance Asher's mere presence places over me. So that's how I was carried out of a bar. Who's next? It's your turn, isn't it, Chloe? She doesn't say anything at first, simply gapes at me. I can see the questions in her stare. I narrow my eyes, an unspoken warning not to press the topic. Okay then. She straightens as Lincoln sets the timer. Never have I ever given or received a lap dance. Try again, I taunt, thankful for the distraction. Already asked. Crap. That's right. She pulls her bottom lip between her teeth, staring into the distance as she searches the recesses of her mind for something that hasn't been said, and at least one person has done. I'm glad she's in the proverbial hot seat, because my mind's coming up blank, too. All the beers I've consumed tonight certainly haven't helped. 10 seconds. Chloe, Lincoln warns, waving his phone in front of her. Okay. She passes him a wry smile, the wheels spinning in her head. Never have I ever gotten freaky in an elevator. She brings her beer to her mouth, taking a small sip, although I doubt she's actually drinking. She refuses to admit it. But Chloe's biggest fear is turning into her alcoholic mother. I lean back into the couch, not drinking. Either does Asher. I take solace in this, the jealous monster who's flashed her teeth a few times during the game, remaining in check. For now. Remember, we're in a bubble, circle of trust, blackout club and all that. It's okay if you have. I glance around the circle. Everyone's shaking their heads. Looks like you earned a penalty round. Chloe reaches for the dice, acting as if it's no big deal. She tosses them onto the coffee table. When they land on suckin' tongue, Asher and Lincoln whistle, their devious grins floating between Chloe and me, as I suspected they would. They've been itching for us to make out all night. Men, looks like things are about to get very interesting. I waggle my brows. I suppose they are. She takes the bottle and spins it. Her sly glances at Lincoln every few seconds don't escape my notice. As the bottle slows on Asher, I tense. The mere idea of Chloe kissing him making my stomach churn, even though there's no doubt in my mind she'd use her pass. Regardless of the fact that Asher and I aren't a couple, there's still an interest there. A spark. Plus, it's girl code. Never mess around with the object of your friend's affection. Can't the same be said for Asher, though? But in his case, it's even worse. I was once his brother's fiancée. If we were to kiss, we'd break the bro code in every way possible. Then again, I'm pretty sure we've already broken it. I exhale a breath when the bottle continues past him, landing on Lincoln. I whistle, passing her a playful smirk as he casually leans back into the couch, his dark, devilish eyes trained on Chloe. "You can use your pass if you want." His deep voice has a teasing quality to it. "I'll understand. Rules are rules. Plus, I'd rather save my pass for when I have to suck on Izzy's chest." "Please don't," Asher begs, groaning. "Use your pass if you have to touch her ear, but not that. Anything but that." With a wink, he flashes me a boyish grin, his playfulness endearing another piece of my heart to him. I love how 1 minute he can be so sensual, so erotic, whispering how pleasurable biting my ear is. The next, he's the same Asher, whose full-bellied laughter surrounded me with comfort when I flipped over the boat we were trying to paddle in the lake. I thought he'd be pissed he got wet, but it didn't seem to bother him. Nothing ever did. "We'll cross that bridge if we get to it," Chloe says, crawling toward Lincoln, straddling him, bringing her lips toward his. Apparently, this isn't going to be just a chaste kiss. I believe the dice have spoken. I avert my eyes, feeling like I'm snooping in on a private moment between them. If what Chloe told me earlier is true, they haven't kissed. They almost did. But then the light snapped off, ruining their chance. Witnessing their first kiss feels invasive and makes me a little jealous, wishing I were experiencing that same spark, same electricity, same excitement with Asher. There's nothing like a first kiss. The build-up, the angst, the hunger for more. A finger brushes against my nape. I tilt my head to Asher as he rests his arm along the back of the couch, wrapping a tendril of my dark hair around a finger. "So, when are you going to roll those dice and have the bottle land on me?" he whispers in a gruff voice. The hairs on my nape stand on end, every synapse in my body firing. "There's no guarantee the bottle will land on you," I respond in a breathy voice. "And wouldn't it be a shame if I rolled those dice for them to land on kiss and lips, only to spin and have to do that to Lincoln?" "It certainly would." He licks his lips, inching closer to me, but I angle away, staying slightly out of reach, taunting and teasing him. Then perhaps I'll just have to sabotage the bottle somehow. Use magnets so there's no way it won't land on me. I give him a playful look of disapproval, but that would be breaking the rules. He continues to close the distance until I have nowhere to escape. "I've already broken the rules where you're concerned." "How so?" I know the answer. I just need to hear him say it. "I shouldn't be thinking about you this way." He traces a finger along the curve of my face, swiping my bottom lip. "What way?" Like I've been starved for months, years, and have finally found a source of sustenance. He nuzzles into the crook of my neck, inhaling, like I've been wandering the desert, and you're the mirage promising to quench this unyielding thirst. He takes my earlobe between his teeth, nibbling. This time, the sensation is much more charged, much more electric. The idea that he's doing this because he wants to, not because the game requires him to, flaming the embers burning within. He locks his gaze with mine, like I've been searching my entire life for something when it's been right in front of me all along. A slight rustling cuts through the still night air, and he floats his attention across the coffee table. I follow his line of sight as Chloe breaks apart from Lincoln. I'd almost forgotten about them, too consumed by the spell Asher cast over me. He pulls away, helping me back to a sitting position. Just as Chloe crawls off Lincoln's lap, Asher curves into me once more. "Regardless of whether that bottle eventually lands on me, I will be kissing you tonight, Isabella. That's a promise, just like I should have let you kiss me all those years ago." Gasping, I shoot my wide eyes to his, feigning confusion. "I don't know what—" "Yes, you do, and I'll be damned if I make that same mistake again." Chapter 13. "This game is rigged," Lincoln states over Chloe's feigned moans of ecstasy, her chest heaving dramatically as I blow a light stream of air onto her finger. "We've been waiting for one of you to spin the other all night," Asher adds. I stand and scoot around the coffee table, smirking as I return to my position next to him on the couch. "When you finally do, all you have to do is blow on her finger. I feel shortchanged." He casually drapes his arm along my shoulders. This feels right. Like no time at all has passed since this was a natural occurrence for us. "Rules are rules," I sing, giving him a knowing look. We can't just make out because you want us to. Hornball. I jab him in the stomach. If you want to see girls make out, go watch a porno. His eyes darken as they rake over me, narrowing in on my chest. Want to join me? Maybe later. I lean closer, my lips skimming against his. He sucks in a breath, his muscles tightening. Too bad there's no power. I abruptly pull back, pretending to be unaffected when, deep down, I don't know how much longer I can last without tossing out the rules and kissing him like I want to. It's your turn. I hit the start button on the timer app on Lincoln's phone. Go. Asher's Adam's apple bobs up and down in a hard swallow as he scrubs a hand over his face, attempting to compose himself. Expelling a long breath, he tilts his head from side to side, putting his game face on. Never have I ever taken a sexy selfie. Nope, I imitate a buzzer. Already asked. Try again. His head falls on the back of the couch, looking to the sky. This is my first trip to Vegas, but in the short time I've been here, I've never seen the evening sky so clear. Even last night, now that there's no other light to fight with the stars, I can appreciate their brilliance. Never have I ever slept with someone whose name I couldn't remember the next morning. Try again. Shit! He squeezes his eyes shut, and I can't help but admire the concentration. It's identical to how he looks when he's in the middle of writing a song. The focus, the intensity, the passion. I can only imagine his expression when doing other things that require concentration. TikTok, I tease. Never have I ever. 5 seconds, Lincoln taunts. Never have I ever. He brings his eyes to mine, his lips parting as he struggles to come up with something. As his gaze leisurely travels down my face, his mouth curves into a sly smile. 4, 3. Lincoln continues his countdown as Asher's smirk grows, his eyes lighting up with promise. One look, and I know he has no intention of saying anything that would keep him safe from rolling those dice. Regardless of the risk of the bottle landing on someone else, it's a risk he's willing to take just to have the chance to kiss me. But I'd let him kiss me even if it's not part of our game. Never have I ever, he repeats once more, his stare never leaving mine. Chloe joins in with Lincoln's countdown, their shouts reminding me I'm not alone. I force my gaze from his, counting along with them. 2, 1. Swiping up the bottle, I shove it into Asher's willing hands. Spin it, baby. He flashes me a devious smile as he returns the bottle to the table. Remembering the order we've been doing things all evening, he retrieves the dice and rolls. When they land on kiss and lips, I whistle, trying to mask the butterflies flapping in my stomach. I'm so looking forward to watching you two make out. Chloe jabs Lincoln in the side. He wraps his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close and whispering something into her ear, judging by the blush building on her cheeks. I doubt it was something as mundane as the weather forecast for the week. Time to spin. Asher, I instruct, hoping my voice drowns out the thunderous pounding of my heart. With pleasure. Grabbing the bottle, he places it on its side and spins. I scoot to the edge of my seat, watching as it goes around, and around, and around, over, and over, and over. No other spin felt like it took this long, like it's on a perpetual roulette wheel. Now I know what gamblers go through as they watch that tiny ball travel in an excruciatingly slow circle, bouncing from number to number. It could mean the difference between going home with everything they've dreamed of or walking away empty-handed. The bottle begins to slow and my body tenses, teeth tugging at my bottom lip, my breathing increasing. The seconds stretch until it finally comes to a stop, right in front of me. I expel my nervous energy with a laugh. Well then, he leans toward me, scanning me up and down. I suppose it's time we finally kiss. Indecision flashes across his expression, the seesaw of his emotions returning now that we're about to cross the proverbial point of no return. Unless, not wanting him to retreat when we've finally made it here, I clutch his cheeks, forcing him to only see me. Nothing else. I suppose it is. I lower myself onto my back, bringing him on top of me. The instant his body presses to mine, All the reasons we shouldn't be playing this dangerous game disappear, only raw need and desire consuming his entire being. I suppose it is, he repeats in a seductive tone. His lips scrape against mine, sending a delicious tremble through me. Then he nibbles on the bottom one, the unexpected jolt of pain serving to intensify the ache in my core. The dice say kiss my lips, not bite them. I know. He pulls back, his gaze locking with mine so I can see the truth in his words. But I've imagined this for years now. I need to take advantage of it while I can. While we're still in the bubble, I inhale a sharp breath. Years. That's all I hear. Not his insinuation that once the blackout bubble vanishes, so will whatever this is. That doesn't matter right now. All that does is this moment that's been almost a decade in the making. Yes. He nuzzles his nose against mine, the simple gesture making my heart expand so much it's ready to combust. Years. What are you waiting for? He smooths a tendril of hair behind my ear, the seconds agonizingly slow as his lips descend. My breaths come in pants and I brace for my first taste. So help me. Nothing better interrupt this from happening, not after hours of unbearable foreplay. When his mouth lands on mine, all the tension leaves me in a moan, my body fusing into the couch. The joining of our lips is light at first, neither one of us pushing forward. As much as I want to succumb to the swiping of his tongue against mine, his breath giving me life, his taste on my lips, I want to savor in this. It may be the only time I get to know if he's gentle or dominating, sweet or savory, desperate or hopeful. I don't want it to end. Not yet. God, Izzy, he groans, pressing his mouth more firmly against mine. I don't wait for him to demand entry, parting my lips for him to explore me fully, to have all of me. His tongue swipes against mine, penetrating, devouring, needy. I tighten my hold on him, losing myself in this moment. I wasn't sure what to expect. A part of me worried he'd kiss like his brother. Jesse's kisses weren't bad, so to speak, but it felt wrong, like there was no emotion behind them, like he was kissing me as a precursor to getting laid, like he was going through the motions, reading an instruction manual, inserting part A into slot B, then moving on to the next set of directions. But it's different with Asher. I can physically feel the passion brimming inside him as he takes his time exploring, discovering everything I have to offer. He consumes every inch of me with his kiss, leaving no part unaffected. I pull him closer, wrapping my legs tighter around him and pulsing. Another groan falls from his throat as he concedes to my unspoken demand, kissing me with more urgency, more ardor, more everything. He threads his fingers into my hair, tugging, pulling, making me burn for him even more. I try not to think about the fact that I'm kissing Asher York, that we've obliterated any line between friendship and whatever this is, that I've put him in the difficult position of betraying his brother. For brothers as close as Asher and Jesse, this is the ultimate betrayal. His desperate rhythm wanes, turning into something sweeter, yet still as deep. If I don't stop now, I'll never be able to, he murmurs against my lips, his voice raspy and heady, evidencing how much he hungers for just a taste of me. He nibbles on my lower lip one last time, which causes a nervous giggle to escape. He gradually pulls back, helping me into a sitting position. A movement out of the corner of my eye reminds me we're not alone. Well, that was unexpected, I say breathlessly, trying to downplay the electric current still pulsing through me, my skin unusually sensitive to even the light breeze caressing it, hopefully in a good way. Asher wraps an arm around me, folding me into him. It's not like before when he brushed his fingers along my skin. Now his hold on me is firm and purposeful, leaving no question in my mind, in anyone's mind, that I belong to him, and vice versa. But for how much longer? In an amazing way. I flash him a wide smile, then quickly turn my attention back to Chloe. Now, I believe it's Lincoln's turn, or is it Chloe's? They share a look before Chloe stands. Actually, I hate to be the one to put an end to game night, but I'm beat. It's been a long day, and tomorrow will be another long one with heading home, provided the power comes back on. Always the responsible one, aren't you? I retort. Always. I steal a glance at my watch to see it's only a little after midnight. Chloe's sleep schedule is almost as out of whack as mine. She often pulls all-nighters on the weekends, since that seems to be when a great deal of celebrity gossip occurs. I highly doubt she's going to her room to sleep, a suspicion that's confirmed when Lincoln offers to walk her to her room. The second they disappear into the darkened house, an awkward silence stretches between Asher and me. He drops his arm, increasing the distance between us. Sorry. He runs a hand through his hair, at complete odds with the confident man whose kiss consumed me mere seconds ago. I know this. He trails off, licking his lips, collecting his thoughts. Well, I guess I could have used my pass. Should have used my pass. A subtle laugh escapes his throat before his eyes darken, his voice coming out a potent growl. But I've been wondering how your lips tasted for years, and I couldn't resist the temptation anymore. To hell with the consequences. Leaning toward him, I hover my mouth over his. And how do they taste? Like the sweetest drug. I pause before asking my next question, unsure how he'll respond. Unsure if I'm prepared for him to reject me now that it's not part of the game. Do you want another hit? Groaning. His fingers circle my nape, locking me in place. I thought you'd never ask. I crash my lips against his, thrusting my tongue into his mouth in one quick motion. If our last kiss was an explosive culmination of years of unrequited need, this one is like a bomb going off, leveling everything in sight, just leaving him, me, and this insane craving filling my blood. Determined hands grip my waist, yanking me on top of him. My legs fall on either side of his. A gasp sucked from my lungs when I feel how much he aches for me. I circle my hips, and he tugs me harder against him, chest to heaving chest, heart to racing heart. His tongue penetrates me with more frenzy, more violence, more conviction to kiss me in a way that would ruin me for all kisses to come after this one. A fire to submit to all of him burns deep, the myriad of reasons this is a bad idea going up in smoke. My hands go to his chest, finding the buttons of his shirt, fumbling with them as I desperately try to rid him of his clothes. He moans when my fingers dig into his chest, nails scraping before I reach for the hem of my shirt. Shit. Wait. He tears away and grabs my wrists, preventing me from going any further. Conflicted eyes search mine, as if I hold the answer he so desperately needs. I suppose I do. A second passes, then another, and another. Then he exhales, shaking his head, his shoulders falling. We can't do this. Those 4 words are the equivalent of a bucket of cold water being tossed over me. Actually, it's worse. I did the ice bucket challenge all those years ago. The chill that covered me then was nothing compared to this. I scramble off him, shooting to my feet. We can't do this, I shriek, hugging my arms around my stomach. You have no problem feeling me up and practically tongue-fucking my mouth. But the second I try to take things to the next level, you decide you want nothing to do with me. It's not like that. Izzy. He stands, advancing toward me, but I back up, my heart squeezing, my cheeks burning with a mixture of anger and embarrassment. It's not like what I have officially reached my breaking point of the internal tug-of-war he's been playing. You've been hot and cold all afternoon. Hell, even last night. 1 second, you admire me like no man in my life ever has. The next, you push me away. It's fucked with my mind. He parts his lips to argue, but I hold up my hand, preventing him from uttering a single syllable. Believe me, I understand your trepidation. Don't you think I have that little ball of guilt in my stomach? Too. Because I do. But this feeling in my heart is so much stronger. I draw in a deep breath, struggling to speak through the lump in my throat. I thought it wasn't one-sided. Apparently, I was wrong. You know that's not true. He advances, brows creased, eyes still clouded with turmoil. I just don't. I step back. I don't need you to placate me with excuses. I misread the signs. You've been drinking, he interrupts. So have you, I accuse. He narrows his gaze, his expression borderline condescending. At least it seems that way after his rejection. Not as much as you. My judgment isn't compromised. And you think mine is, he shrugs. I don't know. But I can't have that on my conscience. I refuse to take advantage of you. I blow out a sarcastic laugh. Sure, you had no problem taking advantage of me when you were kissing me. Izzy, that's not the same thing and you know it. It was just a kiss, nothing more. That bucket of cold water he threw on me earlier has now turned to ice, his words shattering my heart. I see. I struggle to say. I didn't mean it like that. It's okay. You don't need to explain. It was just a kiss. I swallow hard. Nothing more. Doing my best to make it appear as if his rejection has little effect on me. I turn from him, heading toward the house. Izzy, wait! I glance over my shoulder, his eyes pleading with me to understand. And I do. From the beginning. I knew we were playing with fire. I didn't realize how much it would burn. Thanks for letting us crash here. Hopefully the power comes back on soon and we'll be out of your hair. I offer him a tight-lipped smile. Good luck. I have no doubt all your dreams will come true. Ignoring his further pleas, I continue into the house, shining the flashlight of my phone in front of me, illuminating the path. I don't even raise my eyes to acknowledge Lincoln as he passes me on his way back outside, much to my surprise, safe in my room. I release a breath, falling onto the bed. I lay awake for hours, listening to the gentle sound of Asher playing guitar on the patio, holding out hope he'll come rap on my door and tell me he's willing to take a risk. He never does. Chapter 14. I should have no problem sleeping. I'm now going on almost 48 hours with minimal rest. While my body may be exhausted, my mind is not. Too preoccupied with the wild swings of Asher's attitude toward me, culminating in his final rejection. I had plenty of warning it would end like this. Given the constant push and pull, I just thought we were past that. Or I hoped we were. In an attempt to shake off this spell, Asher seems to have cast over me. I toss the covers off and step out of bed. I grab a pair of yoga pants out of my bag, slide them up my legs, adjust my tank, then walk out of my room, the flashlight of my phone illuminating the path in front of me. I pad down the corridor, descending the stairs to the main level. The house is still, peaceful, as it should be at 3 a.m. I just wish my mind could rest, too. As I walk toward the refrigerator to grab a bottle of water, I make out the faint sound of a piano playing a beautiful melody, drawn to it. I'm on autopilot as my legs carry me away from the kitchen and down the hallway, the music growing louder the closer I get to the recording studio. It's haunting. The top note remaining the same despite the underlying chord changing in an even rhythm of quarter notes. I turn off the light on my phone so as to not alert Asher, allowing his music to lead me to him, each measure sounding more heart-achingly beautiful than the one preceding it. As I reach the threshold of the open door to the studio, Asher's voice carries into the hallway, stopping me in my tracks. I peer inside, the room dark, apart from a handful of candles distributed throughout. The reflection of the flames dancing on the walls makes the song even more hypnotic and heartbreaking. With no distractions typically afforded us through technology, all my attention is fully drawn to the man sitting at the piano. I listen, unable to leave if I wanted to, but I don't. Not when I hear him sing of unrequited love, of never being enough, of finally giving up and moving forward, not moving on, not getting over it, but understanding when enough is enough. A fitting story for the situation we find ourselves in, or at least the situation I find myself in. The intensity and passion grow as he belts out the bridge, the raspiness of his voice addicting and soul-wrenching. I know why so many females flock to whatever bar his band played in. There's something incredibly sexy about his voice, the way his fingers caress the ivory keys of the piano with such expertise. I started playing piano when I was young myself, so I know how difficult it is, But Asher plays it as if he were born to do just that, to write music, share his talent with the world. The song comes to an end, his voice ringing out against the perfect acoustics of the room. I debate trying to slip away without him knowing I eavesdropped on this private moment. But there's a vulnerability in him, evidenced by the way he sits at the piano, head hung low, shoulders hunched, fingers still clinging onto the keys as if it's the only thing keeping him afloat. "That was beautiful," I say quietly. He shoots to his feet and whirls around, his eyes wide as they search for me in the darkness. I step out of the shadows, a candle shining a flickering light against my face. "Izzy, what are you? Is that for Fallen Grace's new album?" He doesn't move for several long moments, simply stares at me, torn. I keep my eyes glued to his, unwavering, silently pleading with him not to push me away. "No," he finally says, his voice low. "It's one of mine." With a nod, I continue into the dark room. It's warmer than the rest of the house, due to the lack of ventilation and windows. "It sounds personal," I remark, studying his expression for a reaction. But there isn't one. His face stays placid, giving nothing away, peering at me with disinterest. Is there a story behind the lyrics? That gets his attention, his stance becoming rigid, the vein in his neck making an appearance, as it often does when he's at an extreme of one of his emotions. "You weren't supposed to hear that. It's still a work in progress." His mouth forming into a tight line, he scoots past me. I should go. I whirl around, my mouth agape. Why does he keep pushing me away? I try to understand it, try to rationalize it's because of the sticky situation between his brother and me. But my relationship with Jesse didn't stop us from being friends. In fact, it was because of my relationship with his brother we became such good friends. Why can't we go back to that? I have a feeling I know the reason. I need to hear him finally admit it, to me, and to himself. "Why don't you want me?" I call out as he's about to turn the corner and disappear into the hallway. My voice echoes, the desperation in my tone surrounding me, mocking me, exposing me. He stills, stopping in his tracks, his fists clenched. He shakes his head as the battle wages within, pushing him to the breaking point. He wants to face me, but he doesn't. He wants to respond, but is afraid of what his words will reveal. He wants to wrap me in his arms, but knows with every embrace, it will become more and more difficult to walk away. "What is so wrong with me that you can't even stomach the sight of me now?" I choke out, not holding anything back. "Not anymore." "So what?" "We kissed. Like you said, it was just a kiss. It doesn't—" "Is that seriously what you think?" he growls, turning to face me in one swift move. My heart rate spikes, the hairs on my nape standing on end. That it was just a kiss. My mouth grows dry as a jolt of adrenaline shoots through me. When he stalks toward me, I back up on instinct, the power in his gaze, in his stride, in his aura startling me. He clutches my cheeks, stealing my protest. "Impossible. Izzy, fucking impossible." "What is—" I try to look away from his stormy eyes, but I can't. A force bigger than me keeping my stare locked on his. "That it was just a kiss. It could never be just a kiss. Not with you. Hell, I told you I'd wanted to kiss you for years." "That's true. I'd lost track of the number of times I went to sleep after staying up all night with you and fantasized about how your lips would taste. Grew jealous whenever I had to watch my brother kiss you. God, Izzy." His grip on me tightens as he brings his head closer to mine, a whisper between us. My breath quickens as I bask in his spicy, sweet scent, the aroma of citrus and wood wrapping me in comfort, the only comfort I've ever known. Every time I saw him kiss you, all I could think was how I should have been the one doing that. I open my mouth, not wanting to bring Jesse into our bubble. That would cause it to burst, to implode into a fiery mess. He cuts me off before I can say anything. "Every time I saw him place his hand on your leg and run his finger along your exposed flesh, all I could think about was how cavalier he was about it, how he should have appreciated you for the fucking gift you were." He loosens his hold on my face, one hand going to my nape, the other sliding down my frame. When he lifts the hem of my tank top and caresses the exposed flesh, a shiver runs through my body. And every time I said goodnight to you, only for you to go to bed, to his bed, his nostrils flare, a tick in his jaw, all I could think about was that it should have been my bed, my arms that held you, my body that worshipped yours. No words come. How can I respond? Tell him I always craved his company, but assumed he'd never be interested in me. Not when so many girls who were more mature and experienced than me sought him out. That every time I heard him perform a new song, a part of me wished he were singing about me. That the real reason I ended things with Jesse was because I realized I'd also fallen in love with Asher. I don't have the same competitive nature as my brother. He continues when I don't say anything. I don't need to prove I can be the best at everything I do. I never wanted to graduate at the top of my class, be class president, run the world. The only person I care about being better than is the person I am today. He chuckles, a momentary break in the tension. Although, after tonight, you could probably argue I haven't exactly been a good person. My chest squeezes at the reminder of the position I put him in. I told myself I wouldn't allow him to put his relationship with his brother at risk. But that was before I was cast under his spell again. Before I was reminded of why I'd allowed him to possess a piece of my heart. Before I had a taste of him after years of fantasizing. It's left me desperate for more. I've never wanted something he had. Never wanted to be him. He returns his hands to my face, leaning toward me. Until you. His hold on me tightens as he erases the last bit of space between us, sealing my mouth with his. He leaves me no room to protest, his kiss touching every part of me, stealing my breath, invading my soul as I succumb to what this man does to me with just a simple meeting of our mouths. But nothing with us has ever been simple. His kiss isn't, either. In it is a piece of his heart, and mine. Fusing together in this beautiful connection most people search for their entire lives. I wrap my arms around his broad shoulders, curving into him, even a heartbeat between our bodies, too much space. He moans, a surge of electricity reawakening me. His hands roam my body, his sensual touch making me feel wanted. Not like so many other men who just wanted to cop a quick feel of my chest before pulling out their dick. But not Asher. Hell. He hasn't even brushed a single finger against my breasts, which only increases my need, moisture pooling between my thighs at the thought. A hand grips my hip, and he backs me across the room until my legs hit the baby grand piano. Grasping my ass, he lifts me onto the surface with ease, as if I weigh no more than a speck of dust. I try to stay in shape, but I'm not a waif. My 5'7" frame is leggy, my Mexican heritage giving me an ample chest and curvy hips. When I part my thighs and pull his body between them, he groans, his lips leaving mine for the first time. A man starved. He runs his tongue along my jawline, the scruff of his unshaven face causing a delicious ache to settle in my core. I've never been so aroused, so ready to toss aside reason for one moment of ecstasy. Fuck, Izzy, he growls as I tighten the grip my legs have around his waist. When his erection throbs against me, I whimper, my body trembling from the sensation of him through our fully clothed bodies. If I'm on the cusp of coming undone from this, I can only imagine what it'll be like when it's flesh against flesh. I refuse to wait any longer to find out. I fist his shirt in my hand, tugging him into me, my fingers fumbling for the buttons. He straightens, abruptly stepping back. My heart drops to the pit of my stomach as my eyes lock with his. I swallow hard, unsure if I can handle him rejecting me yet again. Then a lazy smirk crawls across his lips as he leisurely unfastens the top button of his shirt, making a show of it, my shoulders falling out of relief. I place my hands behind me on the piano, sucking in my bottom lip. If you're trying to audition for one of those all-male reviews, I'll have you know they're quick with taking off their shirts. Hell, most of the time they're not wearing a shirt at all. He pauses, mid-unbutton, a single brow cocked. Is that right? That's right. Well then, he smiles deviously. Maybe you should give me a lesson in what I straighten, my voice rising in pitch, stripping. His eyes flicker with mischief as he closes the distance between us, leering at me in a way that strips me bare. In the most tantalizing of ways. Didn't you say Bernadette made you all go to striptease and pole dance lessons? She did, but he leans into me and his teeth capture my earlobe, tugging on it, erasing any objection from my mind. I'll do whatever he asks if it means I'll be rewarded with his tongue on me, on every inch of me. Please, Izzy, dance for me, just like you used to whenever our band played Amante. All it takes is hearing the title of one of his earlier songs to be transported back to my college days. To my roommate dragging me to a club where a hot, local band was playing. To falling in love with the music and making a point of returning week after week. To being unable to stop from swaying my hips whenever they played that particular song. A sensual, Latin-inspired rhythm that spoke to me the first time I heard the opening measures. He extends a hand to me. Does the idea of stripping for Asher turn me on? Hell yes. But to this song one I always felt he wrote for me after he noticed me in the audience that first night, after his earlier confession that he's been wanting to kiss me for years. It's not that far out of the realm of possibility. My eyes focused on his dark pools. I place my hand in his. In one quick movement, he pulls me off the piano, spinning me around so my back is pressed against his front. The sudden motion steals my breath, a gasp escaping. My surprise turns into a burning need when he sensually circles his hips against me. When I wrote it, I always imagined you stripping to it, even though I didn't even know your name. He runs a calloused hand along my collarbone before easing his way up to my throat, wrapping his fingers around it. I crane my head, my breath coming in pants, a surge of hunger filling me from his possessive hold. His mouth skates near my earlobe, teeth nipping at my flesh. Never thought that fantasy would come true. He drops his hold on me, stepping back. I remain still, a bundle of sensation. How the hell did we get here? How did I go from wanting to clear my head to considering giving Asher a striptease in the span of mere minutes? As is always the case with us, some things just can't be explained. The opening lines sound from Asher's cell phone, and I close my eyes, my body still tingling. I'm on the brink of unraveling, a slave to Asher's touch, and I'll do whatever it takes to have his touch again. I glance over my shoulder, flashing him a seductive smile. My tongue skates across my bottom lip in an elaborate show, as if I'm about to feast on the finest of delicacies. That's exactly what this man is. 6'2", broad shoulders, defined muscles, and that perfect V disappearing into the waistband of his shorts. I could overindulge on him for hours and still not get my fill. With slow motions, I face him, swaying my hips in time with the music as I advance toward him, my hands resting against the hard planes of his tattooed-covered chest. I push him into a chair in the corner of the room. He doesn't protest, simply obeys my unspoken command, his eyes never leaving mine. I take several steps back, increasing the distance between us. One of the things I'd learned in my striptease lessons is that it's important not to give it all away at first. Stay out of reach. Make them want you. Beg for you. That's what I do. The music comes to an abrupt stop, and I dart my eyes to Asher. I'm going to start the song over. There's a flash in his gaze, a heat, a warning. If this is the only time I'll ever experience this, I need to milk it for every damn second. Every chord, every eighth note. I need it all. God, I love a man who can talk music to me. I joke in a sensual tone. Although my words hold a great deal of truth, music has always been a turn-on for me. And a man who plays a musical instrument, one who appreciates the patience and practice essential to master it, that's the kind of man I want to be with. Well, you can blow my horn any day, baby. I giggle, then quickly cover my mouth. Sorry. What are you sorry about? I love your laugh. I know. It's just, I'm supposed to be doing this whole seductive temptress act here. Well, tempt away. He starts the song again before setting his phone on a nearby table, freeing his hands. I close my eyes, taking a moment to allow the provocative rhythm to invade my soul, as it did all those years ago, when I couldn't help but move with the melody. It has a more mature sound now, evidence he must have re-recorded it. When his voice sings about spotting a beautiful woman in a bar who ends up infiltrating his every thought, it's deeper, more raspy, more soulful, the way Asher is today, the shaking off my nerves. I fix my expression in front of me, emboldened by the fire I can make out in Asher's gaze. The few flickering candles create the perfect ambiance for this, the darkness a blanket protecting me, allowing me to pretend I'm all alone, dancing for no one. It's not the first time I've danced to this song. This is no different from dancing to it when his band played it during my college days. Except this time, I'll end up naked when the dance is over. I sway my hips, subtly at first, allowing my soul to feel the music. Muscle memory kicks in, my body forgetting about the years that have passed since I've danced. I move with more confidence, tuning everything else out as I lose myself in the erotic sound of Asher's voice filling the room. Approaching him, I run a lithe finger along his chest and collarbone before moving behind his chair. He attempts to glance over his shoulder, but I force his head forward. When I scrape my nails against his firm chest from behind, he throws his head back, a moan escaping his lips. Carnal, wanton, igniting. As desperate as I am to keep feeling the warmth of his body on my fingertips, I remove my hands and circle to the front of his chair. I can see the raw need emanating from every pore, the fire in his eyes enough to light all of Las Vegas. He reaches out, gripping my hip, pulling me closer, giving him a playful look of admonishment. I take his hand, removing it, no touching. I murmur breathlessly, "God, you're going to kill me." He groans as I straddle him, pulsing my hips against his waist. I jut out my chest, leaning closer so I'm a breath away. His body tightens beneath me in all the right places, giving me an added boost of confidence. Knowing I do this to him, that the sight and feel of me, even fully clothed, pushes him to the point of oblivion. There's nothing so addictive. I now understand why some girls love stripping. I'd rolled my eyes when the woman teaching our class told us how powerful it made her feel, even when she felt she was losing control of everything else in her life. But the second she stepped into the club, she'd felt in charge, in control. I hoist myself higher, my long, dark hair forming a curtain around us as I continue teasing and torturing. The frustration builds in his expression, and I can tell it's taking every ounce of resolve he possesses not to touch me, not to grip my hips or squeeze my ass as he takes charge of my seduction. My lips skim against his, and he cranes his head toward mine, chasing my kiss. But I don't allow him to capture it just yet. Desperation blooms and grows, and I know he won't be able to hold off much longer. I don't think I will, either. The restraint I've had to exhibit until this point nearly making me combust, playfully waggling my brows. I pull back, climbing off him in measured movements, my eyes locked on his. I slip my fingers into the waistband of my yoga pants, teasing him by exposing a flash of skin on my hip before retreating, dancing around him once more. When he groans, I inwardly smile. I've been with my fair share of men over the past several years. Not one of them had ever been so unabashedly shameless in his need for me. So many men, at least in New York, have a take-it-or-leave-it attitude, thinking if it doesn't work out, there's always someone else who'd give them a piece of ass. But Asher has no qualms about showing me just how much he needs me. Moving in front of him, I turn around, facing away. I pause for a beat, drawing in a breath. Once I do this, there's no going back. Then again, there was no going back the second we kissed. We both knew what we were getting into, yet did it anyway. Hooking my fingers into my waistband, I slowly slide my pants down my legs, praying those years of ballet classes will pay off and keep me upright. I lean over, my legs remaining straight as I tease Asher, my ass dangling in front of him like a delicious treat. A hiss echoes in the room. "You're killing me." "Izzy," he growls in a strained voice. The unquenchable thirst in his voice nearly pushes me over the edge. I don't want to rush this. Don't want this to end. Straightening, I step out of my yoga pants, sauntering back up to him, clad only in my tank top and panties. When I draw near this time, he cups my ass, tugging me toward him. I curve into him, my lips hovering over his. Didn't I already have to warn you once about touching? I've never been one to listen to directions. You should know that about me. I do. But you were the one who asked me to strip. I changed my mind. He brings a hand to the back of my neck, his hold firm, unwavering, demanding. If I don't have you right now, I'll lose my fucking head. He crushes his mouth against mine, his kiss stealing my breath with its ferocity. He thrusts his tongue past my lips, his loss of all control like the most addictive drug. Growing dizzy from the kiss, I manage to push away, panting. I can't deprive you of your fantasy. Don't you realize you are my fantasy? This time when he kisses me, it's not as frenzied, but still brimming with want. Maybe more so. It's slower, heavier, sharper. His hands go beneath my tank, skimming against my abdomen, deliberately making their way up to my chest. When he cups my breasts, I succumb to his touch, needing more. The tips of his fingers skim against my nipples, which harden instantly, eliciting a moan. "Take off your top," Asher murmurs against my lips before burying his head in the crook of my neck, licking and sucking before pulling back. Unable to deny him anything, I grab the hem of my shirt, yanking it over my head in one quick move, tossing it onto the floor. He takes a minute to look at me, but unlike every other guy I've been with in the past, he doesn't stare at my chest. Instead, his eyes stay on mine. A finger traces the curve of my face before he threads his fingers through my hair, drawing my lips back to his. "You are so fucking beautiful, Isabella." He eliminates the last breath between our mouths, but I retreat. I don't want to give it all up so soon, not when you were hoping to get the most out of this seduction. Trust me, I have how I only danced for half a song. He clutches my cheeks with both hands. "You seduced me the first time I saw you. Maybe not physically, but in here." He releases me, tapping the side of his head. His Adam's apple bobs up and down when he brings that same hand to his heart. And here, the more time I spent with you, the more I got to know you, the more you seduced my soul. He grips my nape, pulling me back toward him, every fiber of my being. His words are so choked with emotion. My brain refuses to fire. What can I say to that? A voice inside tells me he doesn't mean it, that this is just part of his seduction. After all, he is a writer, a musician, a poet. These words are second nature for him, as easy and natural as jotting down his grocery list. But I can't ignore the truth in his eyes. It's vibrant, real, spellbinding. Even the most practiced of actors couldn't fake that. So, to address your concerns, you needn't feel like you're shortchanging me. He nibbles on my lower lip. A moan rattles from my throat at the perfect contact. I've been able to enjoy a decade worth of your dance of seduction. Now I can finally join you. Let me join you. I slam my lips to his, pressing my body as far into his as possible, needing to feel every strained muscle, every hard surface, every drum of his heart that only beats for me. He runs his hands along the lines of my stomach, brushing the swell of my breast before retreating once more. I don't want him to retreat, only want him to push forward. Grabbing his hands, I press them against my chest, throwing my head back when he rolls my nipples between his thumb and forefinger. He breaks away, leaving a trail of desperate kisses along my jawline, his scruff rough but achingly pleasurable as it scrapes against my skin. Cupping my breasts tighter, he lowers his mouth. I curve back as best I can in our awkward position, my breathing increasing at the promise of feeling his lips on me. Suddenly, I'm lifted and I fling my eyes open. "Hold on," he rasps. I do as he commands, tightening my grip around his neck as he transitions me into a cradle carry. Shoving his phone into his pocket, he walks with purposeful strides out of the studio, practically running up the stairs and into my bedroom, kicking the door shut behind him. I want to ask why he didn't take me back to his room, but before I have a chance to worry about that, he places me onto the mattress, slithering up my frame. A whimper falls from my throat when his tongue traces delicate circles around my belly button. The touch is light, but hits me so deep. The way he worships me, pushing my body higher and higher. "Please, Asher," I beg, gripping the sheets as I writhe below him. He cranes his head up, a salacious smirk forming on his lips. "Something I can help you with." Chest heaving, I clutch his face in my hands, tugging him toward me. "If I don't feel you in the next 2 seconds, I'm going to get myself off, and I'd much rather you do that." Now that sounds fucking hot. He seals his mouth over mine, his tongue sweeping against mine as he caresses the contours of my frame, inching farther south. When a finger swipes under the material of my panties, I circle my legs around his waist, pulsing, needing, wanting, "Please." My word comes out a desperate plea, my eyes rolling into the back of my head as his hand grows closer and closer to my center, breaking our kiss. He hooks his fingers into the band of my panties. Pausing, his eyes lock with mine, giving me one last chance to back out. When I nod, he crushes his lips to mine, his kiss too short for my liking. Then again, I get the feeling his kisses will always seem too short. The way they seem to devour my soul has increased my appetite for him to a nearly incomprehensible level. I can take and take and take, yet fear I'll always need more of him. His motions are slow as he lowers my panties down my legs, his eyes not breaking from mine, as if waiting for me to change course. But I can't. Tonight was the perfect storm. The canceled flight, the invitation to stay here, the blackout, all the pieces snapped into place for this to happen. There's no reason to deprive ourselves of this. After tossing my panties onto the floor, he runs a hand up my leg, his tongue following. I throw my head back, the ecstasy from his soft touch more than I can handle. With every inch, my core tightens in promise of what's to come. When a finger ghosts against my center, I moan, my pulse skyrocketing. "God, you're so wet." "Because you're driving me crazy. I told you I needed to get off." "Well then," he begins coyly, "allow me the pleasure." He waggles his brows, then brings his mouth to me, his tongue lapping up my juices. I melt into the mattress, all the tension rolling off my body at how expertly he tastes me. Then inserts a finger, stretching and exploring. I believe the pleasure is all mine. I murmur as if having an out-of-body experience. "Oh no, baby, this is all mine. Yours." I run my hand through his locks as he inserts another finger, pushing me higher and higher, my body flooding with warmth in places I didn't even think existed. I've never felt so full, so complete, so beautiful. "All mine," he growls, picking up speed. It takes no time at all for me to succumb to his ministrations. The combination of his erotic touch and the amount of time since I've been with a man sending me over the edge. Lights flash before my eyes, despite the darkness shrouding the room. My body convulsing as one of the most intense orgasms I've experienced rolls through me. But that doesn't make Asher stop. He keeps licking, tasting, devouring, wanting every last drop, every last shake, every last tremor, until I have nothing left to give. My cries echoing into the Las Vegas night through the open window in my bedroom. Sated. I flutter my eyes open, meeting Asher's lazy smile that's coated in my desire. I hope that was as enjoyable for you as it was for me. Cheeks clutched in my hands. I drag him toward me, kissing him fully, tasting me and him in one incredibly erotic combination. "I need you inside me," I murmur, nibbling on his lower lip. "And I need to be inside you." His expression falls, but I don't have any condoms. I wasn't exactly planning on this happening, so It's okay, I'm on the pill, I trust you. Asher was never the type to sleep around. Granted, it's been years since we've seen each other. In some respects, he's not the same Asher. I don't think he's changed that much. "Are you sure I don't want you to feel like you have to if you're not comfortable without protection?" I flip him onto his back in one swift move. His eyes flame before darkening. I sensually grind my hips against his, my hair falling around us. "I need you." I reach down, palming the erection straining to be released. And I can feel how much you need me. I want this, Asher, more than I've wanted anything I can remember in years. I bring my lips to his, skimming them. I want you. He delicately pushes a curl out of my eyes. I expect him to treat me to a beautiful kiss. Instead, his gaze becomes clouded with lust as he grips my hair forcefully, passion surging through me. And I want you. He yanks my head to the side, his teeth clamping onto my neck. I release a noiseless gasp. I didn't think this kind of pleasure was possible. So fucking much. Then have me, with a growl. He flips me onto my back, climbing off me to undress. A sliver of moonlight illuminates him as he shrugs his shirt off his shoulders, revealing even more ink on his back. He's not fully covered, but the few tattoos that spread from his shoulder blades onto his arms are tasteful. They're the perfect accent to his broad shoulders, not obscuring his sculpted pecs or defined abs. His eyes remain steady on mine as he unbuttons his shorts and pushes them down his legs, his arousal springing free. It takes every ounce of resolve I possess not to compare Jesse to Asher. One thing is certain, there is one area where Jesse will never be able to outshine his brother. While Jesse was pretty well endowed, and the inexperienced girl I was when we first had sex thought he used it quite well, it's no match for Asher. He crawls onto the bed, slithering up my body. When he settles between my thighs, I enclose my legs around his waist, the feel of flesh against flesh causing my stomach to clench in anticipation. Pulling back, he lifts his erection to me, spreading my wetness around. Neither one of us looks away as he pushes into me, inch by incredible inch, stretching and filling before retreating, then sliding back in again. He continues acclimating my body to his, every motion deliberately sensual, giving me a taste of how amazing it could be before pulling back. I dig my hands into his scalp, tugging him against me, chest to chest, heart to heart. I cover his mouth with mine, tightening my hold around his waist, matching his rhythm. He moans, the vibration in his chest hitting the deepest parts of my soul. I rake my nails up his back and he tears his lips from mine, arching into the contact, his chest heaving, sweat forming on his brow. You're driving me fucking crazy. I crane toward him, taking his earlobe between my teeth. That's the point. With a groan, he increases his sensual rhythm, each thrust deeper and more fulfilling. I fall back onto the mattress as his lips kiss every part of me he can get to. My mouth, my neck, my chest. His frenzied hands explore every inch of my body, squeezing and bruising. When his finger rubs against my clit, I moan, my breathing growing ragged. I want you to come again. I'm about to tell him I don't think I can, that it's never happened. When that familiar tingling sensation bubbles deep inside, becoming brighter and stronger until I scream out, waves of mind-erasing pleasure washing over me. An animalistic growl rips from Asher's lungs, the sensual, seductive lover turning into a man obsessed, desperate, hungry. He brings my legs onto his shoulders, increasing his rhythm to an almost punishing level as he drives into me, harder, deeper, faster, eyes dark, frantic, pained. He stills, emitting a strangled cry as his warmth spreads through me, his motions jerky. Tremors overtake him, and he releases his hold on my legs, allowing them to fall to the mattress before he covers my body with his. Our labored breathing fills the room, stark against the silence, which is even more pronounced due to the lack of power. Damn, he breathes, nuzzling my chest. I knew sex with you would be good. I just never could have imagined it would be so electric. I smirk. You imagined. He lifts his eyes to mine, a salacious grin crossing his mouth. You better believe it. Let's just say, for quite a few years, you were the leading lady of my spank bank. With a laugh, I push him off me. Gross. I attempt to scoot away, but he wraps an arm around my waist, pulling me back into him, thwarting my lackluster escape plan. When he brushes my hair over my shoulder and peppers soft kisses along my shoulder blades, I can't help but melt into him. You can't tell me you've never thought of someone else when you touched yourself. Maybe, I muse. He nuzzles his nose into my neck. And who would that lucky bastard be? I shift my position, turning to face him. What would you say if I told you I've thought of you? Impassioned. He covers my mouth with his kiss brief but still full. I'd say that's one of the hottest things I've heard in a long time. He grabs my knee, hooking my leg over his waist, thrusting to demonstrate his reawakening arousal. And when was this? Leaning toward him, I scrape my teeth along his pec. This morning. My answer comes out breathy. I get really horny first thing in the morning. He groans, smashing my body against his arms enveloping me. You're going to be my undoing. Do you know that? That's what I'm hoping for. Chapter 15. The soft tickle of chest hair against my back stirs me from a restful sleep. One of the most restful nights I've had in a while. I exhale a contented sigh, not wanting to open my eyes, able to sense the sun is already bathing the room in light. I don't want it to be day. Not yet. Not when that means I'll have to come to terms with what Asher and I did last night. He tightens his arm around my waist, pulling me into his body, a raspy moan reverberating through his chest. He subtly thrusts against me, jump-starting my libido. As if she needs any help. Just being near this man skyrockets my sex drive. I can get used to waking up like this. What with some naked chick in your bed? Not just any naked chick. His hand travels along my stomach, making the laborious journey south. I adjust my legs, parting them, an unspoken invitation to continue his exploration of my body. Only you. I can get used to waking up next to you. When he toys with my folds, I succumb to his touch, ignoring the voice of reason telling me to put a stop to this, to find out what time it is, if the powers come back on. By the whirring fan kicking on from the central air and heating system, I surmise it is. I don't want to do anything to interrupt this moment. I can get used to this, too. I whimper as he inserts a finger, then another, massaging me in the most delicious of ways. He pulses against me, and I part my thighs even more, allowing him better access. Prop your leg up with your foot, he orders, with your knee bent. I do as he asks, which spreads my legs wider. He grips the underside of my thigh, pulling it to the other side of his body, leaving me sprawled out and at the mercy of his fingers. God, Izzy. He scrapes his teeth along my neck, the pleasurable pain almost more than I can bear. I need you one more time, I moan, lost in the sensation, unable to form a single coherent thought. Do you want me? He pushes his finger deeper, tantalizing and teasing. I couldn't tell him no if I wanted to, my mind devoid of reason. Yes, I was hoping you'd say that. He withdraws his fingers, the lack of his touch causing an unwelcome chill to wash over me. But before I can beg for more, his length thrusts against me from behind, sliding into me. We exhale simultaneously and he pauses, filling me before retreating, continuing his same sensual motion, over and over and over. My jaw falls slack, a noiseless whimper escaping at the utter bliss invading me. Last night was incredible. I'd never been with any man as selfless and passionate as Asher, but this position, lying on my side with my back to his front, my leg propped up, he's able to hit parts of me no other man ever has. Asher, I managed to say, my veins throbbing with the electric current burning through me. I don't. Touch yourself, he orders gruffly, cutting me off. I want to feel your pussy clench around me. A slave to his demand. I lower my hand between my legs, toying with my clit. My teeth clench with the unmatched desire seizing me. The idea of touching myself while Asher fucks me is all I need to come undone, my world crumbling into 1,000 pieces of the most brilliant light. Yes, he hisses, like that. He picks up his pace, his hand squeezing my thigh, spreading me more, his punishing grip only serving to increase my pleasure. So, damn, good. Each word is punctured with another thrust until he climaxes, a suppressed roar ripping through the room. The tremors overtaking his body match my own in intensity. I can't remember sex ever being like this. I'm not naive by any stretch of the imagination. I've had my fair share of a variety of relationships, from committed to one-night stands and everything in between. But it's never been like this powerful, this inspiring, this explosive. I wonder if Asher feels the same way. By the way he struggles to catch his breath, the way his heart pounds against my back, the way he seems to be speechless, I imagine he probably does. A ringtone cuts through our heavy breaths, and I sigh at the confirmation that the blackout is over. I glance at my watch on the nightstand to see it's after 9. As much as I'd love to stay in this bed all day, I need to pack my things and get to the airport. I have to get home today. Aren't you going to answer that I ask when Asher doesn't make any move? I wasn't planning on it. I'd hoped to stay right here with my cock inside you as long as I can. Then when my happy warrior snaps to attention, I'll already be in position. I laugh, wiggling my butt against him as the ringing stops. Well, maybe I should help him along. He's a little spent right now, but I'm sure he can be coaxed into playing again very soon. He nips at my shoulder blade, maybe in the shower. I can get on board with that. When his phone rings again, he groans. You should get that. Whoever it is must have an important reason to try you twice in a row. They should know better than to call me in the morning. True. I shimmy away as he slides out of me. Facing him, I feather my lips against his. But I'll make you a deal. You answer your phone. Then come join me in the shower where you can wash every inch of me clean. And I do mean every. I drag my tongue along his jawline. Single. I dig my fingers into his chest. Inch. My mouth covers his before I scoot off the bed and pad toward the bathroom. Just before I disappear behind the door, I glance over my shoulder, giving myself a mental high five when I see his erection spring back to life. Chapter 16. You're insatiable. Izzy, Asher struggles to say, our breathing even more ragged after the strenuous effort it takes to have sex in a shower. It's not as easy as romance novels make it seem. You need to be in damn good shape to keep your body upright. Thankfully, Asher is in amazing shape, his flexing muscles able to support my sated frame with ease. You're not so bad yourself, I reply, kissing him, my skin still tingling. He practically has to peel my legs from around his waist as he steps away, helping me find my footing. My balance is a little unsteady from the amount of sex we've had the last several hours. In the past 6 months, I don't think I've had sex the number of times I have these past 6 hours. A girl could get used to this. After rinsing off one last time, he places a soft kiss on my forehead. I'll let you finish showering on your own. Oh, really? I pout dramatically. You really want to leave this? I step under the stream, allowing it to cascade over my breasts. Asher's in front of me in a heartbeat, yanking my body against his. He seals his mouth over mine, water falling over him, me, and our kiss before he pulls away, chest heaving. I don't want to leave you, but if I don't walk away now, I won't be able to keep my hands off you. Then I'll have to kidnap you and keep you here forever. You won't hear any complaints from me, either, leaving me with a delicate kiss on my temple. He opens the shower door and grabs a towel, securing it around his waist. God, there's nothing sexier than Asher York wearing only a towel, droplets of water gleaming on his body. I steal a glance as he pauses in front of the long vanity, briefly leaning his arms against the counter. He closes his eyes, blowing out a long breath. It's a fleeting expression of remorse, but it still hits me, reminds me of the reality of what we've done. Once he walks out of the bathroom, I finish showering as quickly as possible. I don't have much time left before I need to get to the airport to catch my flight. When I checked the status, it showed on time, much to my surprise. As I towel off my hair, Asher reappears in the doorway of the bathroom, dressed in a pair of jeans and t-shirt. Hey. He crosses his arms in front of his chest, leaning on the door jamb. Hey, so, I need to tell you something, but I don't want you to freak out. Okay. My response is drawn out as I straighten my spine, resecuring the towel wrapped around my body. He pushes off the wall, his eyes averted. From this alone, I can sense I'm not going to like what he's about to say. He runs his hands through his hair that's still damp from our sex-filled shower. On a long exhale, he slowly lifts his gaze to meet mine. That was Jesse on the phone. My pulse increases slightly. Since I stepped foot into the studio last night, I haven't thought of Jesse more than a fleeting comparison in size. Based on the expression on Asher's face, I have a feeling that's about to end. And I ask, my voice trembling. He doesn't say anything right away, simply stares at me. Then he sighs. He's downstairs. What? My heart plummets to the pit of my stomach, frantic eyes searching his for an indication that this is a joke, that this isn't real. But all I see is the same honesty I always have from Asher. He wouldn't lie to me. Not about this. How I push past him, darting toward my suitcase. I hastily throw all my items back into it. A need to get out of this house overtaking me. Do you think he knows? Of course not. Pretty sure he would have greeted me with a broken nose instead of a hug. Then why? He places his hands on my biceps in an attempt to placate me. But nothing can. This all just got real. A little too real. I knew what I was getting into last night. Knew the ramifications, but ignored them. The blackout bubble seduced me into thinking we wouldn't suffer the consequences of our actions. At least not anytime soon. For once, I chose to live in the moment, and now we'll both have to pay the price. He heard about the blackout and came out to check on me, from Boston. How did he get a flight if the airport just reopened? He licks his lips, his gaze steady, expression calm, because he doesn't live in Boston anymore. He swallows hard. He lives in Los Angeles. He hesitates. He's my manager. My body freezes, his words a punch to the gut. Your manager, I squeak out, blindsided. Granted, I never asked who his manager was, or if he even had one, but considering my history with Jesse, you'd think Asher would have mentioned that little tidbit of information. It's not just a familial relationship I'm dealing with here. Asher and Jesse have a professional relationship too. It's like learning the guy I just had amazing sex with is my ex's new boss. But it's worse with us, because I should have known better. Now, there's so much more at stake than I ever could have imagined. Yes, he doesn't embellish any further, but he doesn't need to. It makes sense. Jesse was a business major, a natural salesman. He could charm the squirrels out of the trees in the dead of winter, even though they knew it was their only means of protection against the elements. Not to mention, right after college, Jesse worked as a client specialist for a talent agency in Boston. He understands the business side of the music industry. There's no one else Asher would trust with his career. It was always their plan. I shake off his touch, shrinking into myself. Why didn't you tell me? It didn't seem like it mattered. Didn't seem like it mattered, I repeat, my voice rising in pitch. I quickly lower it, unsure where Jesse is. For all I know, he could be eavesdropping outside the door. It matters. It matters a lot. So, what, you let Jesse in and then came up to fuck me one last time before dropping this bomb? My disbelief at this situation growing. I grab the first pair of pants I find in my disheveled suitcase and yank them on, not caring I'm not wearing any underwear. It's not like that. I'm as surprised as you are. I bought us a little time and have him in the studio, listening to some demos I've written for a solo album I have in the works. I slow my motions, finding solace in the fact that Jesse's locked away in the opposite end of the house. Then memories from last night float back and my eyes widen. Asher. My pants and tank top are in there. They have my perfume all over them. The same perfume I wore back in college. The same perfume he bought me repeatedly. If he picks them up, relax, he soothes, running his hands down my arms. I grabbed them and brought them back up here before letting him in. He nods at the pants I just tugged on. You're wearing them. That still doesn't make this okay. I push out of his hold, grabbing a bra and slipping it on, facing away from Asher. It's not like he hasn't seen me naked. For the past several hours, that's the only way he's seen me. But I feel exposed, especially now that we've been propelled into the real world, facing the consequences of sleeping together. After tugging on a shirt, I add, "You should have told me." Would that have changed anything? I whirl around to face him, my mouth agape. How do I answer that? Would it have changed anything? Would I have wanted Asher any less than I did last night? When he reaches for my face and brushes his fingers against my skin, I can't help but melt into the contact. One touch is all I need to reassure me that his intentions were noble, even if the outcome was less than desirable. Maybe I'm just overreacting. Did his omission really do any harm? I can't see how. I understand I should have mentioned it, but I didn't want to burst our bubble. Wanted to prevent you from enduring any heartache. He brings his lips toward mine, and I sigh at the promise of his kiss. Just like I tried to do all those years ago. I melt into him, digging my hands into his hair, his words wrapping around me like a blanket. I stiffen, pushing against him, eyes wide as the meaning in his statement sinks in. What did you say? Disoriented, he blinks repeatedly. This time, he's at a loss for words. What heartache did you want to prevent all those years ago? I step back, eyeing him with suspicion. A knot tightening in my stomach. He stammers, his breathing quickening. What heartache did you want to prevent? I ask again through clenched teeth, my temper flaming. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't have to. The answer is etched in the worry lines on his face, in his pleading eyes, in the hard bob of his Adam's apple. I back up. It makes perfect sense. I always wondered why Asher argued vehemently against my decision to surprise Jesse. Now I know why. Oh, my God. You knew. That's what you mean, right? When you said you tried to prevent my heartache, you're talking about that night, aren't you? Again, he remains silent. What is there to say? How could you keep that from me? You knew what I was walking into, yet... No. He darts his eyes to mine, that vein in his neck throbbing. His fists clench, every muscle in his body vibrating with a passion I've yet to see in another person. Even him. I had no idea what you were walking into. But maybe you've forgotten, because the story you told last night left out quite a few things. I didn't think it was necessary to go into all the gory details. Really defensive. He folds his arms across his chest. Is that why Chloe didn't even seem to know what happened? Why she appeared just as interested in the story as someone who'd never heard it? Because you didn't think it was necessary to go into all the gory details with one of your dearest friends when it happened. Don't you always say that keeping the truth is as bad as lying? That's not the same, and you know it. The details didn't involve Chloe. What can I say to him? That the reason I left out so many details was because of what I feared it would finally reveal. That the real reason I ran out on Jesse wasn't because he sought comfort in another woman's embrace. After all, I did play a part in pushing him there. It was because, as I sat waiting for him, I found myself staring at a photo of Asher and me together, my mother's words ringing around me. How will I know if he owns my heart? You'll just know. How? You'll see it in his eyes. You'll see a piece of yourself staring back at you. That was when I realized I'd allowed myself to fall in love with two men. While I saw a piece of myself staring back at me from Jesse's eyes, it was no match to the giant piece looking back from Asher's penetrating gaze. You kept something from me that affected me directly. I continue. How was I supposed to know you wanted to reconcile with him? According to what both you and Jesse told me about the fight you had before Christmas break, it seemed you'd written him off. Hell, he said you tried to give back the ring, but he begged you to keep it. All the more reason he shouldn't have sought out his ex. I snip back. Agreed, but you also can't stand there and blame me for this. I figured you were so adamant about seeing Jesse so you could officially end this chapter, not start a new one. He shakes his head, swallowing hard. I didn't even stop to consider you might still want to be with him after refusing to talk to him all of Christmas break. Maybe you should have, I say in a shaky voice. Like you should have thought about telling me what you knew about Jesse. I did think about it. God damn it. He slams his hand into the wall, frustration radiating from his fist, spreading up his tense arm and through the rest of his body. I'm not saying what Jesse did was right, but he was in a really bad place. I wanted to tell you Candace had started circling like a hawk again. His head hangs as he expels a breath. Then why didn't you? It's not the fact that he kept this from me that has betrayal flowing through my body. Once I'd realized my feelings for Asher, I knew I could never be with Jesse again. It's the realization of the truth that's been screaming at me ever since I first felt myself falling victim to Asher's hypnotic spell. Since I realized I'd fallen in love with him all those years ago. He will always choose Jesse. I shouldn't be surprised, and I can't blame him for it. They're brothers, family. I'm no one. Jesse's my brother. His voice is choked as he brings his eyes back to mine. I couldn't betray him like that. All I can do is nod at his confirmation of my suspicion. The lump in my throat bordering on painful, cutting off my oxygen. This is the reason I walked away all those years ago, and the reason I should have walked away the other night at the bar. There is no possible way for us to have a happy ending, not when it means hurting someone we both love. And despite it all, I do still love Jesse. At least the Jesse he was when we dated. A loud chiming cuts through the tension, causing Asher to flinch. I have no reason to believe it, other than a feeling in my gut. But I know the alert is a text from Jesse. I don't say a word, just glance at the outline of a cell phone in Asher's pocket. I can tell he's struggling between staying in the moment with me and seeing what his brother wants. When it chimes again, he groans, yanking it out. You should go, I say softly. Turning from him, distract him. I'll finish packing and be out of your way so you don't have to keep him hidden. Please, Izzy, I don't want to leave you like this. What can I do to make up for it? I'll do anything. I glance over my shoulder as I'm about to disappear into the bathroom. We both know there's nothing you can do. Jesse will always come between us. We were fooling ourselves to hope otherwise. He doesn't have to. We don't have to let him. I force a smile. Although my heart is breaking, I step toward him, a breath away. I think you already have. He parts his lips, but I place a finger over his mouth, silencing him. Then I hoist myself onto my toes, kissing him one last time. A lone tear slides down my cheek at the finality of it all. He senses it, too, his chin quivering. Goodbye, Asher. Lowering myself to my heels, I walk into the bathroom, closing the door behind me. It's silent for a moment, not so much as the rustling of his clothes or shuffling of his feet across the carpet. Then his phone chimes again, the sound striking against the stillness. Fuck, he groans, his footsteps loud as he storms out of the room, slamming the door. I remain still for several long moments, unsure if Asher's frustration is aimed at me or Jesse. I get the feeling it's the latter. Just when I'm about to head back into the bedroom to finish packing, I hear the door open once more. I freeze, barely breathing. Soft footsteps pad into the room and stop for a moment, maybe two. Then they retreat, the door opening and closing again. I wait a few minutes to see if he returns. When he doesn't, I peek into the room, confirming I'm alone. I hurry to the bedroom door and lock it before heading to my suitcase to finish packing. As I approach, I stop in my tracks. On top of my haphazardly packed clothes sits an origami dove. A soft smile pulls on my lips as I pick it up, examining it. It's something we did whenever we got into an argument, which usually revolved around Jesse. It was our way of apologizing to each other, our way of reconciling. I don't think that's in the cards anymore. Once I'm dressed and all my things are shoved into my suitcase, I request an Uber, praying the service isn't down as an after effect of the blackout. Thankfully, it goes through. I fire off a quick text to Chloe to let her know. Requested an Uber. Will be here in 10. Meet me by the front gate. All I can do is hope she's awake. Worst case scenario, she can find her own way to the airport. When my phone buzzes, I glance at the screen. Okay, just packing up, shoving it into my purse. I do one last check of the room. Apart from the mussed-up sheets, it looks exactly as it did yesterday when I first stepped over the threshold, blown away by the posh surroundings. Longing fills me at everything I lost in the past 24 hours. Then again, 2 days ago, I never expected to see Asher York. I'll just forget I saw him, leave whatever happened in this godforsaken city, my bags in hand. I open the door and step into the hallway, pausing to listen for any indication that Jesse may be in one of the common areas. Thankfully, I don't hear him. I don't hear anything. With quick steps, I make my way to the lower level as quietly as possible, keeping my eyes forward as I dash toward the front door. The second I'm outside, I exhale, my muscles relaxing. This scenario reminds me of having to sneak out of my high school boyfriend's house when his parents unexpectedly returned from a weekend trip before either of us anticipated. But this is worse. I knew who I was running from then. Now, I'm not sure. I head down the walkway, slipping out of the open gate, and peer down the street for our car. Within moments, I sense Chloe approach. Hey, Chloe. I shift my eyes to hers, smiling a small smile. She doesn't have to say a word. I can tell things between Lincoln and her ended as spectacularly as between Asher and me, and she can probably sense there were quite a few fireworks on our end this morning. We both shrug at the same time and say, Vegas? Our laughter surrounds us as we hug each other. This is what I need right now. To laugh with one of my oldest friends. To feel her understanding. To give her the comfort she needs, too. So you're not going to see him again, I state. She pulls away. What choice do I have? I nod, more than aware of her reasoning for not wanting to see Lincoln again. Even if they do live in the same city, she's so used to people disappointing her. She assumes no one would want to be with her if they knew about her mother. You're not going to see him again, she asks after a beat. I face her, my eyes brimming with tears. I could finally tell her the truth of what really happened all those years ago and get her opinion. But would any of that matter? Regardless of whether Jesse actually did cheat on me, as I led everyone to believe, nothing could ever come from this thing with Asher. I'll always be his brother's ex-fiancé. As he just demonstrated, he will always choose Jesse over me, as he should. After all, I'm just someone he knew once upon a time. What choice do I have? Thank you for reading Mind Games. I hope you enjoyed this little taste of Izzy and Asher. Their full story is coming soon. Pre-order your copy of Dangerous Games today. Asher York, talented musician, the voice of an angel, the body of an Adonis, and the man I happen to have a one-night stand with in Vegas. Pre-order today. While you wait for the release of Dangerous Games, this is the perfect time to get caught up on the rest of the series. If you haven't yet, check out Dating Games today. My rules for being a Manhattan billionaire's fake girlfriend. No kissing, no fooling around, no falling in love. What can possibly go wrong? I appreciate your help in spreading the word about my books. Please leave a review on your favorite book site. Dangerous Games pre-order Izzy and Asher's story here. Asher York, talented musician, the voice of an angel, the body of an Adonis, and the man I happen to have a one-night stand with in Vegas? No big deal, right? What happens in Vegas? Well, you know how the saying goes. Did I mention he's also my ex-fiancé's older brother? I walked away, hoping my momentary lack of judgment would stay in the past. Boy, was I wrong. Now Asher is back in my life, and that flame I'd hoped would flicker and die after our months apart still burns bright. But can I put my heart on the line, knowing this man has the power to obliterate it? Can I allow myself to come between two brothers? There's only one way to find out. Let the games begin. Acknowledgements. I was never supposed to write this book. I know. I've said that before. In all reality, the best books are those we, as authors, never saw coming. The storyline here may sound familiar, since this was the launching point of Chloe and Lincoln's story in Wicked Games. But people were curious about Izzy and Asher. So at the end of Wicked Games, I mentioned I'd be publishing Izzy and Asher's story next Dangerous Games. Well, this isn't that. But to write Dangerous Games, I needed to go back and really figure out what happened between them during the blackout. And before then, originally, this was just going to be a short little novella for my mailing list. But as we all know, I can't write a short book to save my life. So while I did give my mailing list a sneak peek at early chapters of this, I decided to publish the story for everyone needing a little Izzy and Asher fix while they wait for Dangerous Games to be published. Writing a book, even a shorter book, requires an army. And I have an amazing army. A big thanks to my hubby, Stan, for putting up with my mindless ramblings as I talk about plot points, not letting him getting a single word in while I work things out. And on that same note, I couldn't do this without my two amazing nannies, Carissa and Bree, both who take care of little Harper Lee as if she were her own, allowing me time to write. A big thanks to my amazing editor, Kim Young, who I'm sure is now used to my crazy publishing schedule, especially deciding to release a book at the last minute like this one. She's the only woman I've ever trusted with my book babies, and I couldn't be happier to have found her. To all my blackout girls, why am I still writing about this dang blackout? This is the last blackout story. I hope. But honestly, this blackout is the reason there is an Asher and Izzy, and I couldn't imagine not having an Asher and Izzy. So thank you. Thanks to my incredibly amazing PA, Melissa Crump. Dude, you the best. I'd be lost without you. Or at least have a lot more gray hair than I already do. Love you. Another big thanks to my betas. I know I didn't have you read this one, but thanks for not reading it even though I'm sure you're salivating for your Izzy and Asher fix. But I need your eyes fresh and minds blank for dangerous games. To my BFFA, D, Justice. This author biz would suck without your honest feedback about everything. And thanks for telling me I'm not crazy for wanting to change titles. To my fabulous admins, thanks for keeping everything under control while I hide away and write. To my review group, thank you so much for taking the time and reading all my books before release. Your passion and commitment to reading and supporting not only me, but so many other authors, is truly humbling and inspiring. Last but not least, thanks to you for picking up this book and taking a chance on me. I hope you've enjoyed this little taste of Izzy and Asher. Their real story is coming very soon. Peace and love.
To